subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Synopsis. After waking up, I was transported to the world of Naruto and was in the same class as Naruto and Sasuke. This was undoubtedly a hellish start. Fortunately, when I was 1 year old, Izayoi awakened the talent entry system. As long as you defeat your opponent, there's a certain chance to obtain the opponent's talent entry. The novice gift package gives you a chance to copy the entry. As soon as I got this benefit, Izayoi wanted to use it on Naruto to copy the opponent's sage body. However, a flash of inspiration came to Izayoi, but he gave up this idea and decided to use this copying opportunity on Otsutsuki Toneri, who came to Earth with his father to secretly take a look at Hinata. In this world where the whole story is about the Otsutsuki family fighting and bloodline is supreme, there is no plugin that can be more powerful than the pure Otsutsuki bloodline. Chapter 1 is Izayoi, Talent Entry System, CH1. The ninja school has 3 semesters a year. The first semester starts on April 1st and ends in mid-July. The second semester starts in early September and ends in late December, and the third semester starts in early January and ends in late March. April 1st, the 54th year of Konoha. Ninja School has ushered in the first semester of the new school year. The 6th grade students had completed their graduation by the end of March and either became official genin, returned to school to retake classes, were specially recruited by certain departments, or dropped out and no longer wanted to be ninjas. Other grades officially moved up to higher grades today. The empty first grade classrooms will soon welcome new students who have passed the entrance examination. Izayoi is one of them. Unlike other freshmen who were sent by their parents or older brothers and sisters, Izayoi was one of the few freshmen who was alone. Similarly, unlike those freshmen who looked at their classmates who were accompanied by their families with envy, Izayoi did not look at them with envy or jealousy, but only with scrutiny. What he looked at was not their appearance, but something that only Izayoi could see. Ninja qualification, white. Chakra control, green. Chunin qualification, green. Whenever Izayoi stared at them intently, some bubbles would appear around these people. The bubbles may be the same color or different colors, and contain fonts of the same color. Of course, there are also people who have no bubbles on their bodies, either because they have no talent or because their talent does not even reach the lowest level. For example, talents in some life professions are not included in the category. This is Izayoi's golden finger. Izayoi, no last name, only a first name. According to the dean, the name came from the fact that he was born on the night of June 16th. After living in an orphanage until he was 3 years old and learning to read and speak, as well as some very common survival skills, Shizai was sent back home by the director, who then took him to the cemetery to meet his parents in this life. It turns out that he was born into a ninja family, and his parents were orphans without surnames. His father was a chunin in the village, but unfortunately during a mission, the entire team, including their guiding jonin, died. His mother died of complications during childbirth, and with her last breath, she did not entrust Izayoi to her husband or her friends, but asked the doctor to entrust him to an orphanage. Behind the orphanage is the village, and they will not covet she as property. This is indeed the case. Izayoi was not surprised that he had to start learning to live independently at the age of 3. After understanding what kind of world he had traveled to, Izayoi knew that besides himself, the destiny child of this world had also lived alone since the age of 3. The other person was even more awesome than him. He dared to take a walk alone in an empty snowy night at the age of 3. Naruto World, also known as the Legend of the Eyes of the 5 Village Fight and Black Zetsu's search for his mother. Coming to this world where the whole story is about the family feud of the Otsutsuki clan and bloodline is absolutely supreme, Izayoi is not panicked. He also did not feel despair because he was just an orphan without a surname and no bloodline limit. Because he also has a cheat. The talent entry system is a cheat code that is triggered when Izayoi turns 1 year old. In addition to being able to see bubbles on other people's bodies, Izayoi can also see that there is a light curtain in his own mind that only he can see. When it is called out, even a mirror cannot reflect it. On the light screen, Izayoi's personal information and a novice gift pack were displayed. However, when he was 3 years old, the novice gift package was used up by Izayoi. Now his personal information is also completely different and very luxurious. Izayoi was seen walking into the ninja school while summoning the light screen in his mind. Host: Izayoi. Talent entries: Otsutsuki Bloodline red, Super Shadow Talent gold, Blood Limit, Byakugan purple, All Attribute Physique purple, Medical Genius blue, Chakra Control blue. Points: 25 when other people have only one bubble, or 2, or even none. Izayoi's talent entries reached an astonishing 6. However, when he obtained the talent entry system, he only had one talent entry tuning qualification green. But at the age of 3, Izayoi changed his fate against all odds and became the most powerful gifted monster of this era. In terms of talent, in this era, there are only people as strong as him, and no one stronger than him. The levels of talent entries are divided into white, green, blue, purple, gold, and red. This was not a level provided by the talent entry system, but one that Izayoi figured out on his own. He was quite sure that there were other levels above red. As for what color it is, Izayoi doesn't know yet. The function of the talent entry system is to allow the host to obtain the talent entries of others. The means of obtaining it is also through exploration, and 2 are currently known. The first is to defeat the opponent. In equal duels, there is a high probability of obtaining low-level entries and a very small probability of obtaining high-level entries. By defeating the strong with the weak, there is a high probability of obtaining high-level entries and a 100% chance of obtaining low-level entries. In a crushing battle, there is a very small chance of obtaining low-level or high-level entries. As for the second way to obtain it, it is the novice gift pack of the talent entry system, which is given for free once, and Izayoi can copy a talent entry of others. When Izayoi learned that he had traveled to the world of Naruto, which he was very obsessed with during his school days, and that he was born on June 16th, 48 years in Konoha, the same age as the 9 great warriors, he almost did not hesitate and was ready to use this novice gift package on Uzumaki Naruto. After all, the other party is the protagonist of this world and this era. The reincarnation of Ashura, Chakra, the son of the sage, inherited the sage body of Otsutsuki Hagoromo, the Uzumaki bloodline that was not activated in the original work. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto has 2 nuclear power plants in his body. Even if he can't recite chakra correctly or extract chakra, the seals and blood his body will allow his chakra to be enhanced all the time. As long as the other party has entries related to Ashura or entries about the body of a sage, Izayoi only needs to copy them, and he will immediately have powerful potential. In addition to Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke is also a good choice. He is also the reincarnation of the son of a sage and inherited the sage's eyes from Otsutsuki Hagoromo. However, when Izayoi was looking for them, he passed a member of the Hyuga clan on the street, which gave him a flash of inspiration and temporarily gave up that idea. In the ninja world of this era, the most powerful monsters with special talents are indeed Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. After all, they, like Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, are the reincarnations of the sons of sages. Not only do they have the qualifications of super shadows, but they also have the protection of the 6-path sage. As long as you realize your potential, you will definitely become a super shadow-level powerhouse. Once he receives the teachings from the 6-path sage, he will break through limits that neither Hashirama Senju nor Madara Uchiha has reached and become a 6-paths level powerhouse. No one on Earth, at this time, has greater potential than they do. What about outside the Earth? Post Views 2 Chapter 2 Otsutsuki Toneri's Talent Entry, CH2. As a time traveler, Izayoi's narrative level is very high, at least higher than anyone else on this planet. Thousands of years have passed, and many people think that the 6-path sage and the ninja clan are just characters and forces in mythology. But Izayoi knew that this was true. He also knew that the 6-path sage had a mother and a younger brother. After the two brothers joined forces to seal their mother, the six-path sage became the 10 Tails Jinchuriki and embarked on a journey of atonement. Otsutsuki Toneri married and took concubines and developed his family by having children. When the six-path sage was no longer the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, he placed the outer path statue on the moon. In order to guard the outer path statue, Otsutsuki Toneri led a part of the Otsutsuki tribe and moved to the moon. The branch of the tribe that remained on Earth gradually became the Hyuga clan over the course of thousands of years. Just like the Six Paths sage possesses the ultimate eye technique, the Rinnegan, once his two sons become one, they will have hope of obtaining the Rinnegan. Otsutsuki Toneri also has the ultimate eye technique, which is the reincarnation eye with the power of destruction and creation. As long as his descendants meet conditions similar to two poles becoming one, they will have the hope of awakening the Rinnegan. Moreover, the difficulty of obtaining the Rinnegan is different from that of the Samsara eye. There is also a secret method to obtain the Samsara eye by fusing a large number of Byakugan into the Samsara eye. The Otsutsuki clan on the moon was destroyed because of the latter. Now, Otsutsuki Toneri should be the only one left on the moon. When he was 3 years old, Izayoi had a flash of inspiration and temporarily gave up the idea of copying the talents of Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. It was he who thought of Otsutsuki Toneri. As the last descendant of the Otsutsuki clan branch on the moon, Otsutsuki Toneri has pure Otsutsuki clan blood. His degree of atavism is the same as that of Otsutsuki Ashura and Otsutsuki Hagoromo. This purity gives Otsutsuki Toneri the talent of a sage body. After Uchiha Madara fused with the cells of Hashirama Senju, he did not awaken the Rinnegan until he died of old age. However, it only took Otsutsuki Toneri a few days to evolve his Byakugan into the Rinnegan. As soon as he awakens, he can enter the Samsara chakra mode, condense the truth-seeking ball, and use the silver wheel Samsara explosion and the golden wheel Samsara explosion that can split the moon. His talent and chakra are even more exaggerated than Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. If there is anyone who came to live on Earth from the moon, he will be the most awesome person. If he brings down the medium that uses the giant Rinnegan as well, then unless Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama are resurrected, or the six-path sage intervenes, he will have the final say in the ninja world. If he was a little more ruthless, he could have taken Hinata or Hanabi's Byakugan in advance. Then there is no so-called Shippuden, only the legend of Sharon. Unfortunately, Otsutsuki Toneri is a middle school otaku. He will not come down from the moon unless he reaches adulthood, until he is sure that the ninja world is truly hopeless. However, Izayoi knew that Otsutsuki Toneri had visited Earth in Konoha once when he was a child, before his father died, and had secretly met Hinata once through the medium of the huge Rinnegan. Then he fell in love with Hinata at first sight, but did not disturb Hinata's life. Instead, he planned to come down and propose marriage when he grew up with the ancient promise. Unexpectedly, his fiancée, he already had someone she liked, and he became the victim. Izayoi had no comment on this naive and innocent victim. He guessed in his heart that the year Otsutsuki Toneri came over should be when Hinata was 3 years old. Hinata's status changed slightly because of the death of her brother Hyuga Hisashi after her 3rd birthday. The character she displayed afterwards made Hinata Hayashi completely disappointed in his eldest daughter. Hinata's grandest birthday party was when she was 3 years old. So, Izayoi decided to take a gamble. He wanted to use the only copied entry on Otsutsuki Toneri. There are plenty of opportunities to obtain Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke's talent entries, but there is only one chance to obtain Otsutsuki Toneri's talent entries. If you miss it, you'll have to wait until 2 years after the end of Naruto Shippuden. The personal information on the light screen now shows that Izayoi made the right bet. He didn't just hang out outside the Hyuga clan on Hinata's 3rd birthday, but he was hanging out outside all year. Appearances can be deceiving, but talent entries never are. She can see the bubbles on the target's body. No matter how Otsutsuki Toneri and his father are disguised, as long as they are not puppets or invisible, they cannot escape Izayoi's eyes. God helps those who work hard. thanks to Shizaoi's hard work and caution. He finally saw the blind Otsutsuki Toneri and his father in the crowd on Hinata's 3rd birthday, which was also the day of the celebration when the Kumogakure envoys came to Konoha. I have to say that the Hidden Cloud mission was really lucky. If the father and son stayed until night and dared to kidnap Hinata, they would be doomed. However, the father and son simply used the medium of the huge Rinnegan to glance from afar at Hinata, who did not attend the celebration but celebrated her birthday within the clan, and then left Konoha. Otsutsuki Toneri was born without eyes, and he does not have the talent term bygone, bloodline limit. There are no other low-level entries, only a high-sounding red bubble, which is Otsutsuki bloodline. Izayoi had seen entries like this before on members of the Hyuga clan, but the colors were different. The highest color of the Otsutsuki bloodline entries on those people is blue. Even the color of the entry for Otsutsuki Toneri's father's Otsutsuki bloodline was only purple, not even gold. Only Otsutsuki Toneri, his entry color surpassed gold and reached the highest level of red known so far. Izayoi copied the entry directly without any hesitation. In the next 3 years, Shizaoi began to change his fate. After completing the first chakra extraction, Izayoi's talent entry, Chunin qualification, green, was upgraded to Super Shadow qualification gold. As the name suggests, as long as he does not die young and grows up smoothly, he will definitely become a figure like Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha in the future. Once he digs out Hinata's or Hanabi's Bikugan for transplant and condenses the truth-seeking jade, he will become a 6 paths level being. A few months later, Izayoi unlocked a new talent entry, all-attribute constitution, purple. It turns out that Izayoi has the same all-attribute physique as Tobirama Senju, Hiruzen Sarutobi, Orochimaru, and Kakashi Hatake. At the age of 5, Izayoi unlocked a new entry again. At that time, Shizaoi was really scared, because he turned on his white eyes. Yes, the eye roll is turned on, not the eyes turning into eye rolls. Under the influence of the Otsutsuki bloodline, Izayoi's eyes are the same as Uzumaki Himawari's. They are normal eyes in normal state, but when she opens her Byakugan, veins on her temples bulge and her pupils turn white. This discovery made Izayoi feel relieved. Otherwise, he might have to wear sunglasses all the time, or buy a pair of colored contact lenses like Kakashi Hatake in the original novel, who disguised himself as a reporter. Post views 7 Chapter 3. Clear goals, 3 red entries. CH3. It's different from Naruto, who went from being a big shot to being the last one because of the Nine-Tails chakra interference. Izayoi, who has inherited the Otsutsuki bloodline, not only has amazing potential, but also has an incredibly strong foundation. The Hyuga clan's Byakugan can see the chakra in the meridians, which gives them a unique advantage in practicing chakra control. After awakening the Byakugan, Izayoi also unlocked the ability to control chakra. Before entering school, Izayoi had already learned to climb trees and step on water with his feet. Not to mention the 3-body technique. Even the B-level ninjutsu shadow clone technique and low-level escape techniques left by his parents have been mastered by Izayoi. Just like Uchiha Itachi, he already has the ability to graduate before even entering the ninja school. In the entrance examination, Izayoi naturally won the first place without any suspense. So he was assigned to Class 1, Grade 1, together with 9 other strong students. When I arrived at the classroom, many classmates were already sitting inside. Izayoi glanced around, and his eyes fixed on a little girl who had also noticed him and looked surprised. With the corners of his mouth slightly raised, Izayoi walked towards her with a clear goal. The desks in the classroom are very long and can seat 3 people. The girl sat in the middle, with no one on either side. "Hey, we meet again." Izayoi sat next to the girl and teased her with a smile. As expected of a young lady who dares to run away from home, the entrance exam is not difficult for you at all. Then Izayoi-kun. The girl didn't dare to look at Shizaoi. She lowered her head and tapped her fingers, but she was very happy and excited. She was right at her guess. The Izayoi on the list was the Izayoi who had helped her that year. "We'll be your desk mate from now on. Please give me your guidance. Hinata." "No, Hinata-san." Izayoi looked at the girl whose cheeks and ears were flushed and said her name with a smile. Hinata subconsciously turned her head to look at Izayoi, and after meeting his eyes, she quickly looked away and replied in a low voice, "Please, please give me your guidance, Izayoi." However, she did not notice that Izayoi looked at her with a hint of heat. In Izayoi's eyes, there were 5 bubbles of different colors floating around Hinata. The largest and most eye-catching bubble among them is a red bubble. White-eyed princess, red, blood succession limit white eyes, purple, Jounin qualification blue, Otsutsuki bloodline blue, chakra control blue, the princess with white eyes. This entry is the main reason why Izayoi approached Hinata and waited outside on the snowy night of Hyuga Hisashi's funeral for Hinata to run away from home in order to win the girl's favor. When Izayoi saw this entry, he decided to intercept Uzumaki Naruto, the son of destiny, and Otsutsuki Toneri, the victim. Just like the reincarnations of Azura and Indra, as long as they obtain each other's power and achieve the unity of the 2 poles, there is hope of awakening the Rinnegan. Otsutsuki Toneri and Hinata also only need to obtain each other's power to awaken the Rinnegan. Moreover, their bloodline and the purity of their Bikugan have reverted to an extremely high level, and they're the type that will definitely awaken the Rinnegan. In the original work, Hinata only needed to obtain Otsutsuki Toneri's chakra to change her fate. Unfortunately, this condition is as difficult as ascending to heaven. Therefore, for a princess with Byakugan who only has blue-level Otsutsuki bloodline, her upper limit can only be an elite Jonin. But now, Hinata's fate has begun to change. Izayoi, who has the Otsutsuki bloodline, red, may be able to help Hinata change her fate with his chakra. Hinata's red entry allows Izayoi to gain the power of the Samsara Eye. The 2 of them are simply a match made in heaven. Izayoi just greeted Hinata and didn't speak to her. After all, this was only his second meeting with Hinata. Hinata, who was 6 years old, had already started learning Gentle Fist. She was probably unable to defeat Niji Hyuga, which gradually disappointed Hyuga Hayashi, and her personality began to become introverted. After all, Hinata 3 years ago, although equally shy, did not dare to look Izayoi in the eye. Fortunately, Hanabi has not grown up yet, and Hyuga Hayashi has not yet been completely disappointed with Hinata and chose to give up the eldest daughter and train the second daughter. Just giving Hinata a little encouragement and boosting her confidence can change her introversion. But that is also a difficult problem. Hinata is the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan and rarely leaves the house except for attending classes. Even when they step out of the house, they are accompanied and protected by tribesmen wearing green vests. It was almost impossible to be alone with her. We have to think of a way. Izayoi rested his chin on one hand and tapped the table lightly with his index finger of the other hand. At this moment, Hinata secretly looked at Izayoi, who looked thoughtful, and the admiration hidden in her heart emerged again. Yes, Hinata adores Izayoi. As a person of my age, I would get lost if I ran out of the house by myself. But the other person dared to wander around alone in the snowy night, and his speech and behavior were so mature, like an adult. I also ranked first in the entrance examination. If she could be as good as him, her father would not be disappointed in her. Plus, Izayoi is the only person of the same age that Hinata knows besides Hyuga Niji. Even after 3 years, she still hasn't forgotten the boy named Izayoi, with black hair, blue eyes, and a chubby face. Hinata, who longed for a friend, wanted to take the initiative to talk to Izayoi, but she couldn't do it. She is so disappointing. Izayoi didn't know what Hinata was thinking. At this moment, he also came to his senses, because he saw his goal again. Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. There were also several bubbles floating around them, all of which were the same red color as Hinata's. Uzumaki Naruto's talent entries are Immortal Body, red, Super Shadow Qualification, gold. Whirlpool Bloodline, purple. Otsutsuki Bloodline, blue. Izayoi did not see the words Ashura and Ninetales in Uzumaki Naruto's talent entry. However, the level of the Sage Body and the talent entries of the Uzumaki Bloodline indicate that Uzumaki Naruto's sage body is different from the sage bodies of the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan, and is at the same level as the pure Otsutsuki bloodline. Only Otsutsuki Hagoromo and his son Otsutsuki Ashura possess such an immortal body. In addition to these 4 items, Uzumaki Naruto also has the extra bonus of half of the nine-tailed fox. Compared to him, Uchiha Sasuke's talent entries are slightly inferior. Eyes of the Immortal, red, shadow level qualification, purple, Uchiha bloodline, purple, Otsutsuki bloodline, blue. The white-eyed princess has no potential and is not worth mentioning. Likewise, the Immortal's eye that has not evolved is not worth mentioning. Without Uchiha Itachi's eyes, and without Uchiha Sasuke, who has activated Indra's chakra, being a blind Kage is his limit. Only by obtaining the eternal Mangeki Sharingan, or stimulating the true power of the sage's eye, that is, Indra's chakra, he can possess nearly infinite pupil power without changing his eyes, and his qualifications will reach the level of Super Shadow. Just like Uchiha Madara, who is always beaten on the head by Hashirama Senju, Uzumaki Naruto may be rubbish now, but when he starts to exert his strength, he will be able to instantly surpass Uchiha Sasuke, who has worked hard for many years. This was true for the 6 years at Ninja Academy, and the same was true for the 3 years at Shippuden. This is the difference between talent and plug-in. Post views. 3 Chapter 4. Does ninjutsu require hand seals? CH4. Hello, classmates. My name is Yumino Irika, and I will be your homeroom teacher from now on. As the class bell rang, a young man in a green vest walked into the classroom and introduced himself to Izayoi and the others at the podium. Then he said with a smile, "Before class, let's introduce ourselves to each other, starting with the first row on the left. My name is Hello, everyone. My name is Yamanaka Ino. Please give me your guidance in the future. My name is Aburame Shino. Uchiha Sasuke. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Remember this name. I am the man who will become the Hokage." Everyone behaves differently, reflecting their own personality. The most prominent among them is Uzumaki Naruto, who is still hated by Yumino Irika. Since they had just met, his arrogant self-introduction did not cause laughter from the whole class. When it was Hinata's turn, she whispered and stuttered, My name is Hyuga, Hinata. Please give me your guidance." Her shy appearance formed a sharp contrast with the lively and cheerful Yamanaka Ino. Fortunately, this is not an ordinary world. Otherwise, such a shy rich girl would probably be easily isolated and bullied. "Hello, everyone. My name is Izayoi." Izayoi stood up and said his name, a very ordinary self-introduction. However, that cute face, which was as cute as Uchiha Sasuke's, attracted the attention of many girls. Even though he already knew that girls in this world matured very early, when he felt those burning gazes, Izayoi couldn't help but smack his lips slightly in his heart. They start living independently at the age of 3, understand love at the age of 5 or 6, go to the battlefield during wartime before they are 12, and become saviors at the age of 16 or 17. This world is so outrageous. That's right, the title of genius has very high value in the world of Naruto. After the self-introduction session, it was soon the stage that Izayoi was familiar with. Send books. But after getting those books, Izayoi couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth slightly. Chinese and mathematics, this is normal. But what are biology, medicine, and chemistry? Izayoi suddenly understood something. No wonder the children in this world understood love so early. It seemed that this precocity was very common. In addition to these books, Yumino Irika also gave each student a scroll. Inside the scroll, the method of extracting chakra is recorded. Chakra is a special energy that is a combination of physical and spiritual energy extracted from the 130 trillion cells in the human body. It is also the key to becoming a ninja, Yumino Irika explained. The entrance exam is to select students who have both spiritual and physical energy that meet the standards and have a high probability of becoming a ninja. Knowledge and physical exercise can both improve these two energies. So students who don't have chakra yet must study hard. Otherwise, you will still be persuaded to drop out when the observation period is over. Upon hearing this, some students who came from ordinary families and had no chakra, yet suddenly looked nervous. I believe that for a long time to come, they will be the model students that Yumino Irika likes. Izayoi didn't remind them either. You guys are overthinking it. Although the school does not clearly divide the classes into good and poor students, except for the children of the ninja clan, all the civilians who can enter the first grade class 1 have excellent qualifications. Izayoi only took a glance and saw that every student had a white entry, and some even had the qualifications of a chunin with a green entry. This means that even if they fail to pass the graduation examination, they will still have the strength of a genin in the future. Students with green entries will become chunin in the future as long as they do not die halfway. For example, the ninja clan members like Yamanaka Ino, each of them has the qualifications of a jonin, blue. However, Haruno Sakura's ninja talent attracted Izayoi's attention because her ninja qualifications were only green-level chunin qualifications. But her talent entry for chakra control has reached the purple level of bloodline limit. With such an advanced talent for chakra control, his future achievement is only that of a chunin. Just like Hinata's Byakugan princess, whose eyes are red, but whose qualifications are only those of a jonin. For Sakura Haruno, who has no chance of changing her fate, being a chunin is her limit. Once one succeeds in changing one's fate, he will become one of the 3 ninjas of the new generation. After handing out the textbooks and scrolls, Yumino Irika didn't give Izayoi and the others time to relax and started the class straight away. There are cultural classes in the morning and physical education classes in the afternoon. In addition to physical exercise, physical education classes also distribute stones and teach students throwing techniques. Of course, he didn't have things like the 3-body technique, the flickering technique, the invisibility technique, the kunai, and the shuriken. Even physical combat was not taught. Obviously, the first semester of the first grade is about laying a solid foundation and improving knowledge and physical fitness. Izayoi would participate in it at the beginning, but after seeing that there would be no physical battles at this stage, he no longer let his real body come to the ninja school. Izayoi, who acquired the Otsutsuki bloodline at the age of 3, now has an extremely exaggerated amount of chakra. Not to mention Uzumaki Naruto, who can extract chakra now. Even Kakashi Hatake, who could perform the multiple shadow clone technique in class at the age of 5 or 6 in the original work, is not as good as him. His shadow clones far surpass Uchiha Itachi in terms of duration and ability to withstand attacks. He let his shadow clone go to school on his behalf, while Izayoi's real body used transformation techniques to turn into a young boy and went to an abandoned training ground in the wild to practice ninjutsu. Wind style, fierce wind palm. In the open space, Izayoi pretended to make hand seals and compressed the wind transformed from chakra in the palm of his hand to form a cyclone. Finally, he slapped it out, turning it into a violent gale and raising a large amount of sand and dust. Yes, it's a pretentious seal, because Izayoi can do it without making any hand seals. To be precise, except for the auxiliary ninjutsu, such as the 3-body jutsu and the shadow clone jutsu, Izayoi does not need to make hand seals to perform the other 5 elements ninjutsu. There is no doubt that there are gaps in the red entries. The red entry of the Otsutsuki bloodline is more advanced than the Sage Body, Sage Eyes, and the Byakugan Princess. Not only does he have an astonishing chakra, but his talent in ninjutsu is also exaggerated. Just like the members of the Otsutsuki clan before Indra invented the hand seals, he can perform the 5 elements escape techniques without any hand seals. Even Hashirama Senju had to clap his hands and shout for everything to happen, but Izayoi didn't need to. This is not only an extremely powerful ninjutsu talent, but also a killer weapon. When the enemy thought that Izayoi was casting hand seals, he would suddenly perform ninjutsu, which would definitely catch the enemy off guard. Post-views, 3 Chapter 5 Izayoi's Invitation, Summer Vacation, CH5. Before I knew it, the first semester is almost over. This semester, first graders only have cultural studies and physical education classes. Every day, I either study or exercise and extract chakra. Except for class 1, Grade 1, students in other classes were advised to drop out. Ninjas are so rare. Not only is the entrance exam difficult, but the graduation exam is also extremely difficult. Because graduation is not a real graduation. If you cannot get the recognition of the senior ninja, you'll have to go back to school to retake the course. The elimination rate is ridiculously high, and this is just for apprentice ninjas to be promoted to genin. Above the genin, there are chunin and special jonin, as well as the all-round jonin. However, all of this has nothing to do with Izayoi and the 9 powerful men. Except for the first 2 weeks, Izayoi did not go to school in his original form. He won't come until there is a physical duel. After all, the reason why Izayoi entered the ninja school was for Hinata, Naruto, and Sasuke. To be precise, they were targeting their red entries. Before graduating from the ninja school, Izayoi must reveal their red entries, at least 1 or 2. Otherwise, when they graduate from the ninja school, it will be twice as difficult for Izayoi to reveal their red entries. It's not the gap in strength, but the chances of meeting and fighting will be greatly reduced. After graduation in the original work, the 9 great warriors met again, and it was time for the Chunin exam. Graduation at the end of March and the Chunin exam on July 1st are important days every year. There was a season in between. Dinkling as the bell rang, another day ended. After an afternoon of physical education class, the students are still full of energy. Izayoi-kun, do you want to play ninja games with us? Izayoi, shall we go home together? Some students left school and went home, while others stayed in school and invited other classmates to form small groups. Izayoi also received many invitations, and he was a very popular figure in the class. Although it was only the shadow clones who went to school, and the targets were only Hinata and Naruto and Sasuke, Izayoi did not have a cold face towards others, but treated them with a smile. Even the refusal was very tactful. The same is true today. Facing the invitations from the male and female classmates, Izayoi's shadow clone clasped his hands together and smiled shyly. Sorry, I've already made an appointment with someone else. Let's do it next time. Definitely next time. Hey, have you been asked out again? Izayoi-kun is really popular. Then let's play the ninja game together next time. The students looked disappointed, but they didn't force it. After Izayoi's shadow clone left the school, it went into an alley and automatically disbanded. All memories and fatigue returned to the original body. After digesting today's memories and finishing her training, Izayoi was resting at home, waiting for her fatigue to take over. She murmured, "It's going to be the holiday in a few days. It's time to start taking action." On July 20th, after the morning classes, it is time for lunch. Some students live closer to home and choose to go home for dinner. Some students bring lunch boxes to school, either in the classroom or going out to eat lunch. Since Izayoi usually comes to school as a shadow clone, he always goes home to eat. But today, Izayoi came in person, which was rare, and he even brought a lunchbox with him. He and Hinata were eating their bento in the classroom. In 3 months, Izayoi and Hinata have become friends. Although we are not the type where we can talk about everything, we know each other's hobbies and some little secrets. For example, Hinata's hobby is pressing flowers. Hinata also knew that her desk mate was actually just a shadow clone. When she first found out, Hinata's mouth was slightly open, her beautiful eyes widened, and she looked surprised. Then he looked at Izayoi with even more admiration. It is incredible that Izayoi has mastered the shadow clone technique, even though the school didn't even teach him the 3-body technique. Izayoi, who was eating lunch with Hinata, suddenly said, "Hinata, tomorrow is a holiday. How are you going to spend it?" "I should probably still practice at home," Hinata replied softly. "Would you like to practice with me?" Izayoi invited. Can I?" Hinata looked at Izayoi in surprise. Then, without waiting for Izayoi's answer, she shook her head dejectedly. "No, my father won't allow me to go out casually." Ever since the kidnapping, Hinata had to be accompanied by a guard whenever she wanted to go out on her own. And she can't go out too often because she has entered the ninja school and there is an Uchiha in her class. For the sake of her family's honor, she must practice hard and not be suppressed by the Uchiha clan. "Hey, don't worry about this." Izayoi grinned and said, I'm just asking you. Do you want to go out and play during the holidays and practice with me? Hinata lowered her head to eat and responded in a mosquito-like voice. Okay, I'll help you tomorrow. Then Izayoi leaned close to Hinata's ear and whispered his plan. The hot air hit her ears, and Hinata's cheeks and ears quickly turned red, and the hand holding the chopsticks was trembling slightly. This was the first time she was so close to Izayoi, and the immunity value she had trained for the past 3 months was instantly reduced to 0. Fortunately, Hinata's personality is not as outrageous as in the original work, and she did not faint from shame. However, her mind went blank, and she forgot what Izayoi was saying. Remember, you have to take the initiative tomorrow, otherwise my plan will be discovered. Izayoi warned. Hinata nodded stupidly, looking so silly and cute. Then, she looked up at Izayoi again. Izayoi, what did you say just now? Izayoi. Then, with a pop sound, he mercilessly flicked Hinata's forehead and repeated his plan under the girl's pitiful expression. Hinata covered her forehead with her hands, her beautiful eyes shining slightly. The next day, the ninja school entered its 40-day summer vacation. Izayoi walked out of the house and came to an alley. A bang, like the sound of a balloon being popped, rang out in the alley. Then a blonde girl, who was wearing a hat but whose hair color could still be seen, trotted out and headed straight for the Hyuga clan. If any of the students from the class were here, they would definitely discover that this girl was none other than Yamanaka Ino. Hello, my name is Yamanaka Ino. I'm here to hang out with Hinata. We made an appointment yesterday. Arriving at the gate of the Hyuga clan, Izayoi used the transformation technique to transform into Yamanaka Ino and smiled sweetly at the guard. The two guards looked at each other. Please wait a moment. One of the guards looked at Izayoi carefully, bowed politely, and walked into the clan territory. After a while, he came out. Behind him, there was a little girl in a white windbreaker. It was Hinata. Hinata came jogging and smiled at Izayoi, who had turned into Yamanaka Ino. The plan went very smoothly, and the eldest lady went out. Post views 2 Chapter 6 Izayoi's plan. CH6. Izayoi. Great, we succeeded. After leaving the clan land with Izayoi, Hinata could no longer suppress her excitement and spoke with a slightly trembling voice. Keep calm. Be careful, your father might send guards to follow us secretly and hear what you said. Izayoi warned with a smile. Hearing this, Hinata quickly covered her mouth and looked around secretly, looking so adorable. Come on, I'll take you somewhere. Izayoi wasn't sure if there were any guards following him secretly, so he didn't cancel his transformation technique. Instead, he took Hinata out of the central street and headed toward the training ground outdoors. Shadow Clone Technique. After entering the forest, Izayoi created a shadow clone, which disappeared in an instant. After a while, Izayoi canceled the transformation jutsu. Seeing this, Hinata looked delighted and said, Izayoi, is there no one following us? Well, it's confirmed. No one is following us. Izayoi nodded and grinned. I'll teach you a trick later. Practice it at home when you get back. If your father sees it, he probably won't stop you from going out in the future. Hearing this, Hinata's face became even more joyful. Transform into Yamanaka Ino and invite Hinata out. This is Izayoi's plan. Otherwise, if he personally invited Hinata, there would be no way she would come out. At the very least, it would be a wasted trip. At worst, Hyuganiji, who had received the order, might come up to warn you, or you might be transferred to another position in the class, or even to another class. Children may not understand what is going on, but Izayoi knew that this was the method used by adults. In this world where daimyo and nobles exist, class divisions are even more obvious than in previous lives. Hinata is the eldest daughter of a wealthy ninja clan, while Izayoi is just a commoner orphan without even a surname. There was a chasm between the two. If Izayoi were a girl, there would be hope that she could become friends with Hinata, but he is a man. To prevent Hinata from falling in love with him, and to prevent his bloodline limit from leaking out, neither Hyuga Hayashi nor the elders of the main family will let Izayoi and Hinata get too close. Unless Izayoi's value is extremely high. If he is a commoner talent worthy of recruitment, then he is eligible to marry into the family. If he was like Uzumaki Naruto, a hero of Konoha and the savior of the ninja world, then he could marry the eldest daughter of the main family. Until he can prove his worth, Izayoi can only resort to some small tricks. Yamanaka Ino is the eldest daughter of the Yamanaka clan and one of the new generation of Ino Shikucho. No matter how weak she is, she can use the family's secret techniques to become a big figure in the intelligence department in the future and hold real power. Ino, Deer, and Cho are allies. If among the 9 strongest ones, there is one who is qualified to be friends with Hinata, it must be Yamanaka Ino. Only by transforming into Yamanaka Ino can he invite Hinata out, and there is a high probability that there will be no guards following him. If I wasn't worried that his strength would continue to grow, the gap between him and Hinata would grow larger and larger, and it would become increasingly difficult to reveal red items. Izayoi really wouldn't want to take such a risk. When the first major exam came, he felt a little more confident after winning the title of top student. However, compared to Naruto and Sasuke's red entries, Izayoi wants to reveal Hinata's red entries more. As long as he awakens the Samsara Eye, there will be nothing to worry about. So he didn't want to miss this holiday either. Arriving at the deserted training ground, Izayoi looked at Hinata and said, "Hinata, have you learned the 3-body technique?" "Not yet." Hinata shook her head and said, "Father told me to concentrate on practicing the gentle fist. I can practice those in my free time when the school teaches other ninjutsu. In that case, I won't teach you the 3-body technique." Izayoi smiled and said, "I will teach you a technique that can improve your chakra control. Whether you are practicing your family's soft fist or learning the shadow clone technique, it will be twice the result with half the effort." Hinata opened her beautiful eyes wide and said in surprise, "Izayoi, you want to teach me the shadow clone technique?" "That's right." Izayoi nodded and said, "My real body will rarely go to school in the future. You can come here to find me anytime or practice the shadow clone technique. Just like me, secretly let the shadow clone go to class, and the real body will come to practice with me." Hearing this, Hinata was very interested. After learning that Izayoi was taking classes on shadow clone technique, Hinata had the idea of learning the shadow clone technique. Not for any other reason, I just don't want to be left too far behind by Shizayoi. But just as she said, Hinata Hayashi only asked her to concentrate on learning the gentle fist and would not teach her anything else, nor would he allow her to learn anything else. Not to mention the shadow clone technique, Hinata doesn't even know the 3 bodies technique. Now that she heard that Izayoi wanted to teach her the shadow clone technique, she could secretly come here every day to practice with Izayoi. She could have both the friendship and the free time she longed for. Hinata was naturally very excited. Seeing her expression, Izayoi knew what she was thinking. "Come here. I'll teach you how to improve your chakra control." Izayoi smiled at Hinata and came under a large tree that could be hugged by several people. He made a seal with his hands and said to Hinata, "Gather the chakra under your feet through the seal, and then overcome the fear in your heart." Like me under Hinata's wide-eyed, surprised gaze, Izayoi raised his right foot and stepped on the tree trunk. Just as his right foot stepped on the tree trunk, Izayoi raised his left foot and stepped on it again. Both of his feet were off the ground, and his body was straight in front of Hinata. Then, one step at a time, as if walking on flat ground, Izayoi walked from the bottom of the tree to the top of the tree. Turning to face Hinata below, Izayoi's body formed a right angle with the tree and said with a smile, "Use your feet to climb the tree. This is the technique I taught you." "Wow, so awesome." Hinata was stunned when she saw Izayoi breaking free from gravity. Coming down from the tree, Izayoi smiled and said, "Climbing a tree with your feet is only the first stage. There is also the more difficult step of stepping on water with your feet. As long as you learn these 2 techniques, whether it's the 3-body technique, the shadow clone technique, or the instant body technique, it won't be difficult for you at all." Can I really learn it?" Hinata was a little unconfident. "Don't underestimate yourself. You are the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan." Izayoi patted Hinata's shoulder and encouraged her, "Go ahead and try. Don't be afraid of falling. I will catch you. If you are left too far behind by me, I won't wait for you." Izayoi said the last sentence with a hint of joking, as if he was teasing. Just these words made Hinata firm in her heart and nodded vigorously. Yes. She had already disappointed her father, and she absolutely could not disappoint Izayoi again, and she did not want to lose her only friend. Post views 3 Chapter 7 Hinata's Changes, ch 7. Hinata stood under the big tree, made a seal with her hands, mobilized the chakra in her body, and gathered it on the soles of her feet, as Izayoi said. Then she raised her right foot and stepped on the tree trunk. Hinata then felt that the soles of her feet were as if covered with glue, firmly stuck to the bark. Feeling this, Hinata felt relieved, then raised her left foot and stepped on it again. Just like Izayoi, just now, Hinata's body was suspended horizontally in the air. Holding her breath, Hinata took the 3rd step. On the next second, Hinata's expression changed and she screamed in surprise. His feet, which were originally stuck to the bark, suddenly fell off, and the whole person was about to fall to the ground. Just then, 2 arms caught Hinata and straightened her body. Izayoi chuckled and said, "Don't be afraid. I've already told you that I will catch you." Izayoi-kun, "I'm sorry," Hinata said with her head down, looking like she was disappointed in you. "Why are you apologizing to me?" Izayoi reached out and patted Hinata's shoulder again, encouraging her. It's normal to fail. You were able to hold both feet in place for the first time, which is already amazing. When I was practicing, I tried more than 10 times before I succeeded. This is a lie. Izayoi succeeded in one go and took many steps upwards. Whether it is Uzumaki Naruto or Uchiha Sasuke, there is no chakra control in their talent entries. The chakra control of Izayoi and Hinata has reached the blue level. With this level of talent, let alone climbing trees and treading water, even medical ninjutsu, perception techniques, sealing techniques, and barrier techniques are much easier practice than those who do not have a talent for chakra control. The gentle fist injects chakra into the human body, which is a kind of chakra control. As long as Hinata has enough chakra and someone is there to guide her, she should be able to learn to climb trees quickly. Go on. I'm sure you'll be able to reach the top of the tree soon. Hinata, who was encouraged, suddenly gained confidence. She formed seals with her hands again, gathered chakra at the soles of her feet, then stepped on the tree trunk, and her body was soon suspended in the air again. Perhaps it was the sense of security given by Izayoi that Hinata did not hold her breath this time, but took the 3rd step very naturally. The situation in which, after taking the 3rd step, the chakra of the other foot could not be controlled, causing loss of balance, and the disappearance of chakra in both feet did not occur. Hinata controlled the chakra of her feet very well, and the soles of her shoes were firmly stuck to the tree trunk. Step 4, Step 5, Step 6, it was not until she completed the 8th step and took the 9th step that Hinata lost her rhythm. The chakra in her feet lost balance again, and her body fell down. The amazing thing is that Hinata wasn't scared at all and didn't even scream out loud. There's even a hint of anticipation in my heart. Really, the body did not fall on the hard ground, but fell into a warm embrace. Izayoi held Hinata in both hands, keeping the princess hug posture, looked down at Hinata, and praised her generously. "Amazing. Hinata, you can reach that height on your 2nd try. You are really a genius." Hinata didn't feel shy, but smiled happily. She received more compliments today than in all previous years combined. Is this what it feels like to be recognized? Hinata, whose personality has not yet changed into the one in the original story, where she lacks confidence and gives up easily, suddenly feels more motivated and confident. Her beautiful eyes sparkled, and she took the initiative to say, "Izayoi, put me down. I want to try again." "Good." Izayoi saw all the changes in Hinata. Seeing the girl become confident, Izayoi was also happy for her. She is a daughter of a wealthy family, but in the original novel, she becomes so cowardly and inferior. It shows what kind of high-pressure life she grew up in. Since she has come to this world and chosen to intercept Uzumaki Naruto and Otsutsuki Toneri, Izayoi must change this girl. Even if she didn't turn into the bad big sister in the limited Tsukuyami, she shouldn't have completely wasted the genes of the Otsutsuki clan like in the original work. Starting with changing her personality, Izayoi wants to make her the person she wants. Hinata is very talented. After all, among the 4 girls of the 12 little strong men, she is the only one who comes from a wealthy family and possesses the Byakugan, one of the 3 major eye techniques. All she lacked was self-confidence. When she regains her confidence, she will shine brightly. Climbing trees and treading water do not require a lot of chakra. All you need is the ability to control. This control ability can either be acquired through hard work or simply depends on talent. In the original work, Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke are the former, while Haruno Sakura is the latter. And Izayoi and Hinata are also the latter. Hinata was able to take 7 or 8 steps the second time, and she did not regress the third time. Instead, she made progress again, taking more than 10 steps before falling down again. Izayoi still caught her steadily. By the 4th time, Hinata stopped falling and successfully climbed to the top of the tree. Izayoi, I succeeded. Hinata, standing on the top of the tree, did not observe the surrounding environment from a height, but was the first to share her joy with Izayoi below. Amazing! You were able to climb to the top of the tree on the 4th try. Hinata, you are much better than me. Izayoi gave a thumbs up and praised generously. Hinata, who received the praise, smiled happily again. Although they were both receiving instruction, the feeling that Izayoi gave her was completely different from that of her father. Hinata only felt nervous when receiving gentle boxing lesson from her father at home. Even if she completed the homework assigned by Hinata Hayashi, she would not receive any praise. Sometimes she even got criticized because she wasn't as perfect as her cousin. On the other hand, here, with Izayoi, she received the praise she had always wanted. The sense of relaxation that was different from tension and the sense of joy that was different from uneasiness seemed to cleanse Hinata's soul and made her like training. Coming down from the treetop as if walking on flat ground, Hinata looked at Izayoi expectantly and asked, Izayoi-kun, is treading water the same as climbing a tree? Yeah, but it's more difficult. Izayoi nodded and smiled. To climb a tree, you just need to hold onto the trunk, but water is flowing. If you want to hold onto the surface of the water, your control ability must be increased several times. I won't teach you now, but you can go home and try in a bathtub or a water tank. When your chakra volume is a little higher, I will teach you the real treading water and shadow clone technique. Yet Hinata nodded repeatedly. Seeing Hinata being so well-behaved, Izayoi finally revealed his true colors and said with a smile, Next, I will teach you how to fight in taijutsu. By the way, let me experience the acupoint pressing skills of your Hyuga clan. Good. Hinata was a simple person, so naturally she didn't know Izayoi's real purpose. She had fought with her cousin many times at home, so she still nodded obediently, not thinking that there was anything wrong with practicing physical skills that were not taught in school. Post views, 2 Chapter 8 level gap, the use of points, CH8. Izayoi spent the entire summer training with Hinata. Every day, he would first determine the location of Yamanaka-ino, and then use the transformation technique to invite Hinata out. The two of them would come to the deserted training ground, where they would either practice tree climbing or engage in physical skills duels. Hinata gained friendship and found confidence, and the changes she made during this summer vacation were amazing. It's not just the strength, but also the temperament. Hinata Hayashi was the first to notice the changes in his eldest daughter. When he learned that Hinata was practicing treading water, he realized that she went out not just to make friends and play. Izayoi also discovered that someone was secretly monitoring him and Hinata. But Izayoi did not hide, but prepared to test and see Hinata Hayashi's attitude. That day, Izayoi found a reason to let Hinata see how he tread water. In addition, Izayoi also demonstrated the shadow clone technique and low-level wind style, and completely defeated Hinata in physical combat. Then the next day, Izayoi transformed into Yamanaka-ino again and went to the Hyuga clan to invite Hinata out. The moment he saw Hinata coming out, he knew Hyuga Hayashi's attitude. The head of this wealthy family tacitly agreed to let Hinata practice with him. For these ninja clans, Izayoi's identity was no secret at all. A civilian orphan born into a ninja family. Before he had even finished 3 semesters in the first year, He had already mastered tree, climbing, and water treading, skills that were not taught even in ninja schools, and was also able to use the shadow clone technique and low-level wind escape technique. With such talent and chakra capacity, he is undoubtedly a civilian genius of this era. Hinata would have greater motivation to practice with such a genius. This can be seen from the changes in Hinata's personality and temperament as she practices treading water at home. Although Hyuga Hayashi was somewhat disappointed with his eldest daughter's performance, he had not yet discovered Hanabi's talent. So he had not given up on Hinata and was not thinking of training his second daughter. Seeing that Hinata had changed so much just by making a friend, Hyuga Hayashi could only feel happy. As for the idea of breaking up the couple, Hinata Hayashi did not have that idea. First, the two are too young, and now it should just be pure friendship. Second, in his eyes, Izayoi and Hinata are impossible. There is no way the Hyuga clan's Byakugan could be spread out. Izayoi is just a tool used to change Hinata. He will always observe the relationship between Izayoi and Hinata, and when there is a change in one of them, Hyuga Hayashi will intervene and tell them the cruel reality. Unless Izayoi is super outstanding, like the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze, neither of them will have a future. Izayoi and Hinata didn't know about this. Seeing that Hyuga Hayashi did not stop him from playing with Hinata, Izayoi was completely relieved. While teaching Hinata the 3 body techniques and chakra control techniques, he used physical skills to try to break Hinata's red entry. This summer vacation, both Izayoi and Hinata had a rich harvest. Hinata has mastered the techniques of climbing trees and treading water, and has also learned the 3 body technique. However, perhaps due to insufficient chakra, she has not yet learned the shadow clone technique. In addition, her acupoint pressing skills have also improved dramatically. Among Izayoi's talent entries, there is an entry called Medical Genius. His mother in this life was a medical ninja, and her legacy also included scrolls of basic medical ninjutsu, which Izayoi had already mastered. In order to reveal the red entry of the Byakugan princess, except for the first few days when Izayoi let Hinata off a little to give her some time to adapt, he was serious afterwards and beat Hinata mercilessly. After the fight, give Hinata treatment. It was also a fight, and although Hyuga was full of hatred for Hinata, he didn't dare to hurt Hinata at all because Hyuga Hayashi was watching beside him. But Izayoi really beat them, without any mercy. No matter what, just beat him first, and then coax him. Hinata's combat experience naturally increased rapidly as she was constantly beaten, and her attacks became more and more decisive, mercilessly injecting chakra into Izayoi's body. Hinata, who has become accustomed to the practice of beating and then healing, will definitely not be like in the original novel, where she is so kind that she is reluctant to hurt her sister and loses to Hanabi, who is 5 years younger than her. It was this obvious change that made Hyuga Hayashi completely acquiesce to Izayoi and Hinata's tryst. Although Izayoi did not get the red item of Byakugan Princess this summer, the improvement was equally obvious. Through the physical skills duel with Hinata, Izayoi has secretly learned the acupoint pressing technique of the Hyuga clan. After testing Hyuga Hayashi, Izayoi also asked Hinata to secretly bring out a map of human acupuncture points and a scroll of acupressure under the pretext of giving her guidance. Izayoi has already mastered the acupuncture points of the human body and the techniques of injecting chakra into the body. Shizayoi had no interest in Bagwazang, but he was still very interested in this technique of blocking the enemy's chakra flow by acupuncture. It might be effective when fighting against the enemy. Although no red terms were revealed, Izayoi also obtained 2 terms from Hinata this summer. One is the blue entry for chakra control, which Izayoi also has. At that time, a reminder sounded in Shizayoi's mind. Ding, you get the talent entry, chakra control, blue, which overlaps with your own talent entry. Will you fuse or decompose it? Izayoi chose fusion. After the fusion, the chakra control did not turn purple, but remained blue. However, in terms of chakra control, Izayoi felt a significant improvement. At that moment, Izayoi finally understood why it took only 3 years for Haruno Sakura to surpass Hinata, who had been practicing gentle fists since childhood, and Shizen, who had been learning from Tsunade since childhood. It's just like they're all of Otsutsuki bloodline, but the Hyuga clan is no match for the lineage on the moon. Although both are controlled by chakra, there's a huge difference between blue and purple. Even if the two blue chakras were controlled and fused, they could not reach the purple level. The purple chakra control allowed Haruno Sakura to learn advanced medical ninjutsu, the Senju clan's chakra burst, and the S-level difficult In Seal and 100 healings technique in just 3 years. In addition to chakra control, Izayoi also revealed a purple entry, which is the bloodline limit, Byakugan. Unfortunately, Kekii Genkai is Kekii Genkai, and the Byakugan princess is the Byakugan princess. If Izayoi didn't have the bloodline limit, Byakugan, then this entry would just give him a pair of Byakugan, rather than giving him both the Byakugan and the purity of Hinata's Byakugan. Izayoi chose to break down this entry. After fusing with the Byakugan, the purity of Izayoi's Byakugan will definitely be improved, but it is impossible to awaken the Samsara Eye. Just like the fusion of two chakra control, blue, will not reach the purple entry. The Otsutsuki clan sacrificed the Byakugan of their entire branch family when they fused the Rinnegan. The final form of the gigantic Rinnegan may have incorporated the Byakugan of the main family. Given the purity of the Otsutsuki clan's bloodline, the purity of their Byakugan is definitely higher than that of the Hyuga clan. Izayoi wants to evolve the Samsara Eye by fusing the Byakugan, but he doesn't know how many entries he needs to fuse. It will be a waste to merge the two entries. Izayoi doesn't lack that purity. After decomposing the bloodline limit, Byakugan, purple, Izayoi gained more than 1,000 points, and the panel also changed. Host, Izayoi, talent entries. Otsutsuki bloodline, red, super shadow qualification, gold, bloodline limit, Byakugan, purple, all attribute physique, purple, medical genius, blue, plus, chakra control, blue, plus, points. 1791, there's a plus sign behind medical genius and chakra control, indicating that they are upgradable. This is what integration does. Post views, for Chapter 9. Izayoi is rejected, ch9. Points can only be obtained by decomposing entries. Izayoi knew this when she was 3 years old. At that time, in order to be able to appear reasonably near the Hyuga clan, he made friends with a group of friends and played ninja games with them. Because he was too popular, he was disliked by his peers and had fights with some kids. Among them are several children who have ninja qualifications with white entries. After these entries are revealed, the system prompt sound will be followed by fusion or decomposition. After decomposing those terms, Izayoi obtained 25 points, and after decomposing each white term, a random single-digit point would be obtained. Now decompose the purple entry and get 4-digit points in one go. Blue entries can all be upgraded. So, how many points are needed to upgrade the blue entry? Izayoi was very curious and couldn't help but click the plus sign behind chakra control. Then, his panel changed again. Host, Izayoi, talent entries. Otsutsuki bloodline, red, super shadow talent, gold, blood limit. Byakugan, purple, all attribute physique, purple, chakra control, purple, medical genius, blue. Points, 793. The entry for chakra control changed from blue to purple. However, there is no plus sign behind the word medical genius. The points also decreased by 999. The levels of entries are divided into white, green, blue, purple, gold, and red. Decomposing a white entry will randomly give you single-digit points. Decomposing a purple entry will give you 4-digit points, and upgrading a blue entry will require 3-digit points. Are these points random or fixed? Izayoi murmured in his mind. If it is fixed in extreme number, does that mean that if white is upgraded to green? The points are 9. If green is upgraded to blue, it is 99. If blue is upgraded to purple, it is 999. If purple is upgraded to gold, it is 999. If gold is upgraded to red, it is 999. And if red is upgraded to an unknown new level, It is 999 points. Izayoi didn't know that he didn't have any low-level entries below blue, nor did he have a lot of points to test. Even if he had extra points, Izayoi would not use them to upgrade low-level items. Except for special attributes like Byakugan and Chakra Control, Izayoi has no plans to upgrade any attributes below red. As long as he awakens the Samsara Eye, he will have a large number of dimensionality reduction-like moves. When developed to the extreme, it can even possess the strength of the 6 paths level. A pair of eyes is enough for Izayoi to survive until the final battle of Shippuden. Instead of wasting points on junk entries, it is better to use them to upgrade the Otsutsuki bloodline. As long as the Otsutsuki bloodline is upgraded again, its purity will definitely be at the same level as the alien Otsutsuki clan. By then, perhaps other colors of the Rinnegan will emerge, and even abilities such as wedges and divine arts. Of course, these were just speculations, and it was still too early for Izayoi. The time came to September 1st. The second semester of Ninja Academy begins. This semester, Izayoi finally came to class in person, but there were only classes in the afternoon. In the second semester, there are still cultural classes in the morning, and in the afternoon, in addition to physical education and shuriken throwing, there is an additional physical training course. Unfortunately, this physical skills duel was randomly matched by Yumino Irika, and Izayoi was not matched with Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, nor was he matched with Hinata. Irika-sensei, can I apply to fight Sasuke? When he heard that it was a random match, Izayoi took the initiative to find Shanghai Irika wanting to fight with Uchiha Sasuke. Yumino Irika hesitated, but still shook his head and said, there will be no special treatment for the Taijutsu duel. Its purpose is to remind everyone that the enemies you encounter may be evenly matched, weaker, or even stronger than you. You must adapt to evenly matched opponents, as well as to crushing and being crushed in battles. You must improve through tough battles, gain a sense of accomplishment from victory, feel the bitterness of defeat, and continue to grow. I understand, Irika-sensei. Seeing that Yumino Irika didn't agree, Izayoi didn't force it. He planned to wait until after school to challenge Uchiha Sasuke. However, after school, Uchiha Sasuke's answer made Izayoi's mouth twitch slightly. Sasuke, do you want to fight? Sorry, I'm not interested. I still need to go home and practice. Uchiha Sasuke, who is not yet an Avenger, is not as aloof as in the original work, but he rejected Izayoi's challenge without hesitation and trotted home with anticipation on his face. After the Ninetales Rebellion, the Uchiha clan was suspected of being the mastermind behind the release of the Ninetales, so they had to move from Central Street to the vicinity of the Nanha River. Uchiha Sasuke, who has not yet mastered the technique of instant body movement, needs a long journey to return home from the ninja school. All he wanted now was to go back and practice with his brother, and he had no time to waste on Izayoi. Before Izayoi could provoke the Uchiha clan and challenge Uchiha Sasuke to fight him, the opponent had already run away. In this regard, Izayoi was helpless. He did not change his target to challenge Uzumaki Naruto. Although the final exam to determine the top student has not yet taken place, Uzumaki Naruto's overall score in the first semester is already the last in the grade. After all, even the worst students know how to pronounce the word chakra. Only Uzumaki Naruto, after graduation, could still mispronounce the word chakra. It can be seen that his academic performance is just like the Chunin exam, either blank or filled in randomly. He was somewhat malnourished, and his athletic performance was not above average. As an excellent student, Izayoi's sudden challenge to a laggard could easily attract the attention of the Umbu, or even Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo, who have been paying attention to Naruto. The former is fine, but the latter is likely to suspect that Izayoi knows something, or think that Izayoi is a pawn sent by someone to get close to Naruto. To avoid any surprises, they will most likely take some action. At that time, Izayoi's situation will become very passive. This is not what he wants. Therefore, Izayoi's targets for now are only Hinata and Uchiha Sasuke. After being rejected by Uchiha Sasuke, Izayoi did not persist. It is already September of the 54th year of Konoha, and there are only 3 months left before the end of the year. By next year, the filial son's family will be exterminated. By then, Uchiha Sasuke will become an avenger and will never refuse Izayoi's challenge to a fight. So the next day, Izayoi still went to class in his original form, but he did not actively request to fight Uchiha Sasuke, nor did he make an appointment for a fight after class. Matching with Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto is certainly a good thing, but the other students are not bad either. After all, in addition to the 2 saviors of the ninja world, this class also includes the new generation of Ino Shikacho and the Perception class. The other students also have the guaranteed ninja qualifications, white. Each one has an entry. Even if only a white entry pops up, it will still give you single-digit points after decomposition. The 9 strongest ones even have blue, purple, and even gold and red entries. Uncovering any one of them would be a huge gain. As Izayoi was unsure whether his shadow clone could produce an entry, he naturally could not miss the afternoon class. Post views for Chapter 10. Gentle on the outside but strong on the inside. Izayoi is full of a sense of accomplishment. CH10. December 21st. Konoha 54. Before I knew it, the second semester was over. This semester, the first-year students have all undergone very obvious transformation. There are only academic and physical education classes in the first semester, and they have no practical experience, which is no different from if they have not yet enrolled. The newly added physical skills competition in the second semester allowed them to grow in pain and shed some of their immaturity. However, there is also a side effect, which is that it teaches some students to use violence to solve problems. Fighting, physical assault, or bullying of classmates all over the place are common occurrences. More importantly, neither teachers nor schools will stop this. Obviously, in their eyes, cowards are not worthy of being ninjas. Rather than being killed while doing missions after graduation, it is better to be bullied by your own people and choose to drop out of school and become an ordinary person. Therefore, in every grade and class, there have been incidents of poor students trying to bully good students. Like Uchiha Itachi, like Hyuga, like Uchiha Sasuke, they all have one thing in common. That is, they are handsome, geniuses, have a cool personality, and are very popular with girls. Even though they are so popular, they don't like to join or form small groups, and they seem to be disdainful of both boys and girls. Many boys couldn't stand this loner look and wanted to teach her a lesson. Unfortunately, all these bullying attempts were resolved without exception, and some even ended in a beating. It doesn't matter if you get beaten up, but it's embarrassing that so many people can't beat each other. Afterwards, he would be bullied by the other side's cheering group and be ostracized by girls in the class and grade, and even counterbullied by senior students. As a result, they hated these influential figures even more, and even hated their fellow tribesmen. For example, on this day, it was snowing heavily. Finally, after the snow stopped, there was no need for Izayoi to transform into Yamanaka Ino to invite Hinata. Hinata, who already had the privilege of going out freely, immediately trotted out of the clan territory and prepared to wait for Izayoi at the old place. Hinata is wearing a white snowman suit and a red scarf around her neck. She looks chubby and very cute. For more than half a year, Hinata's hair has been deliberately grown longer at Izayoi's suggestion, and it is now shoulder length. She tied her hair into 2 ponytails with a hair tie, planning to change her hairstyle once her hair reached her waist. The cute little face is full of baby fat and slightly red in the snow, making people want to pinch it. In order to avoid being discovered, Hinata did not go to Izayoi's house and knock on the door, but came to the open space outside the ninja school and waited for Izayoi's arrival. This had become their tacit understanding. Is that guy one of Niji's clansmen? White eyes, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's go teach her a lesson. Just as Hinata was waiting for Izayoi, she suddenly heard several boys' voices. When she turned around, 3 boys who looked 1 or 2 years older than her were jogging toward her. There were malicious smiles on their faces. Are you guys okay? Hinata asked. Her voice was very gentle, but if you looked closely, you would find that she didn't lower her head, but was just looking at the 3 boys in confusion. What annoying eyes, just like that Niji guy. Looking into Hinata's eyes, One of the boys seemed to recall some bad memories and shouted, "What are you looking at, you white-eyed monster? Do you know you've offended me? Get down on your knees and apologize to me." Hinata tilted her head, somewhat confused. But when she heard her cousin's name, she asked in confusion, "Are you friends of Brother Niji? Who's that Niji guy's friend?" Another boy immediately retorted loudly, "We are his enemies. Hurry up and kneel down, shout sorry loudly, and then apologize to us on behalf of that Niji guy, or we will beat you up." The last boy reached out and tried to hold Hinata's shoulders, force Hyuga Niji's clansmen to kneel down, and then humiliate them severely. Looking at the boy's outstretched hand, Hinata's eyes suddenly changed, and then she stretched out her index and middle fingers with her white-gloved hand and poked the boy's chest at a faster speed. Although she was wearing gloves, Hinata's fingers pierced through the thick winter clothes like silver needles, causing the boy to scream and fall to the ground. Hinata continued to poke the other two boys at a very fast speed. They also let out a scream and sat on the ground. It hurts so much while they kept rubbing their chests, but the pain from the outside to the inside did not get relieved at all. Looking at Hinata in front of them, it was as if they were seeing the reflection of Hyuga Niji, equally powerful and equally commanding. Then they were frightened and cried and ran away crawling. Hinata instinctively fought back and tilted her head again. She didn't even inject the chakra into her body, so why was she crying? With such strength, are they really enemies of Brother Niji? Snap, snap, snap. Just then, the sound of applause reached my ears. Looking in the direction where the voice came from, Hinata immediately showed a happy expression on her face. "Izayoi, you're here." "Hinata, you look very handsome just now." Izayoi, who was also wearing a white snowman suit, came over, gave Hinata a thumbs up, and said, "When dealing with people with bad intentions, you should act decisively. Otherwise, they will only become more aggressive and even develop the bad habit of bullying others." Hinata nodded repeatedly, being very well behaved. Looking at her like this, Izayoi felt a sense of accomplishment. In the original work, Hinata was bullied by her peers more than once. It is outrageous that a lady from a wealthy family is bullied by a few common boys. What's even more outrageous is that Hinata had already started learning gentle boxing at that time. Being bullied to the point of crying is undoubtedly a character issue. But now, Hinata has turned around and beaten the bully to tears, which shows that Izayoi's transformation was very successful. As she was constantly beaten, her character was no longer introverted and cowardly, but became strong, and she would not give up easily. Kindness is still there, but he will not sacrifice himself to take care of others. Not only is he decisive in his actions, but counterattack has become an instinct. Unlike the bad sister in the limited Tsukuyami, the current Hinata is gentle on the outside, but strong on the inside. In just half a year, Hinata was transformed into this, and Izayoi was of course filled with a sense of accomplishment. But it is fortunate that the transformation was carried out so early. If we wait until Hyuga Hayashi and Hyuga Niji break Hinata's spirit, it would not be easy to change this girl. Hinata Hayashi must be very grateful to Izayoi. Hinata has the privilege of going out freely, which is the best reward. Let's go practice. Two kids dressed in snowman costumes headed to the deserted training ground. Post views, 2 Chapter 11 The Real White-Eyed Princess, ch 11. Snap, snap, snap on a patch of snow in the forest. There were rapid and continuous blows. I saw 2 short figures wearing snowman suits, whose feet did not sink into the thick snow, but stepped steadily on it, constantly attacking each other. The girl with black hair and white eyes, with white gloves on her hands and blue flames wrapped around her fingers, poked at the boy opposite with a sound of breaking through the air. The boy with black hair and blue eyes seemed to predict the girl's attack in advance. He would always hit the girl's wrist with the back of his hand before the girl's fingers were about to poke his snowman's suit, and the chakra could penetrate her body through her clothes. After removing the attack, he would take the opportunity to hit the girl with a palm strike, a straight punch, or a kick, knocking her away and into the snow. Every time the girl was hit, she would make a muffled, groaning sound from her mouth, and her little face would reveal an expression of discomfort and pain. However, after falling into the snow, she quickly got up and continued to attack the boy. Even though she was beaten so hard that her whole body was in pain, and even though her internal injuries were so severe that blood was flowing from the corners of her mouth, she did not stop. The pair of children were none other than Izayoi and Hinata. Okay, let's stop here. It was unknown how long the fight lasted before Izayoi finally spoke to end the duel. After hearing this, Hinata sat down in the snow, gasping for breath, her face covered in sweat, and blood staining the tattered snowman's suit red, revealing the normal clothes underneath. On the opposite side, Izayoi's white snowman suit was also in tatters, and he was also wearing normal clothes underneath. This snowman suit is not for decoration, of course. It is for Hinata to practice shooting the bull from behind the mountain and improve her skills in injecting chakra into the human body, as well as the power of chakra. When she was able to inject chakra into Izayoi's body through the snowman's suit and cause huge damage, it meant that her finger strength was amazing and her chakra control was also very strong. Therefore, every few times when Izayoi knocked Hinata away, he would deliberately leave a flaw to let Hinata hit him. Otherwise, although being beaten unilaterally would create an invincible image, it might also destroy Hinata's confidence. If you want Hinata to become confident, you have to let her feel the taste of success. After taking off the tattered snowman's suit, Izayoi walked up to Hinata, squatted down, and treated Hinata with the most basic medical skills. He didn't know whether basic medical skills could cure hidden diseases, and Izayoi couldn't check whether Hinata had any hidden injuries. But he believed that his violent beating of Hinata had already been known to Hyuga Hayashi. The other party still acquiesced to Hinata training with him, and Izayoi believed that he would definitely use other excuses to make Hinata undergo a physical examination. The Hyuga clan must have excellent medical ninjas, so whether Hinata has any hidden illness, it will definitely be known and cured. Even if Hyuga Hayashi didn't know, it didn't matter that he didn't have anyone check Hinata's body. With a young body, you don't have to worry about any hidden diseases. As long as Izayoi awakens the Samsara eye, he will automatically gain yin-yang release, just like the Rinnegan. At that time, Izayoi can also use yin-yang release to help Hinata regulate her body. This is exactly why Izayoi has no scruples. After treating Hinata, Izayoi said with a smile, "Let's go ice fishing later. We'll have grilled fish today." Hinata's beautiful eyes suddenly lit up, and she nodded. Yes. Izayoi's knowledge of the world of Naruto came from the TV animation. I have never read or played the comics or games, and I only learned a little information through short videos. He didn't know whether there was any information in the comics that Hinata was a glutton. However, in the TV animation, there's a plot where Hinata kills everyone in a ramen eating competition. It was also because of this plot that Hinata's gluttony attribute appeared in various forums and was considered by countless netizens to be a waste of talent. After all, in the world of the second dimension, being a big eater is a very powerful talent. But this talent, like those of life professions, did not appear in the entry. Izayoi also didn't know whether Hinata had such talent. So one day, Izayoi deliberately took Hinata to catch fish and grill them, and secretly observed Hinata's appetite. Then he discovered that Hinata was indeed a big eater, and her appetite was 2 or 3 times as much as his. This discovery made Izayoi very happy. A large appetite means a strong digestive ability, which means more nutrients are absorbed and the stronger the physical and mental energy in the cells. This means that Hinata's chakra amount in the future will far exceed that of her peers. The stronger Hinata is, the greater the chance of red items popping out. Knowing that she is a glutton, Izayoi will certainly not let her waste this talent. So after each training session, Izayoi would take Hinata fishing or hunting so that she could have a full meal. Today is no exception. At the beginning, Hinata would not let go in front of Izayoi and wanted to maintain her ladylike side. But gradually, she found that Izayoi always made so much food every time. It was obvious that he had discovered her secret and was afraid that she would not be full, so he no longer controlled his food intake. At the same time, Hinata is looking forward to training with Izayoi even more. Even her family members didn't know the secret of her big appetite. But Hinata didn't realize that the family was gradually no longer practicing separate meals, and there were a lot more meals every day. She thought it was because she had a younger sister. Izayoi didn't know this. Otherwise, he would definitely smile with relief. Hinata's fate has undoubtedly changed in this life. With his help and the silent care of Hinata Hayashi, the strength and personality will definitely not be the same as in the original. Once the foundation is laid, combined with Izayoi's chakra, she might be able to awaken the Rinnegan in the future. By then, Hinata will be the real Byakugan princess. When I was reading, time passed very slowly. It is the consensus of all students that time passes quickly during holidays. The winter vacation is over and time has entered the 55th year of Konoha. The first grade begins its third semester, and the sixth grade also welcomes their graduation season. After 2 semesters of training, the freshmen have completed their transformation, and those who stayed on campus have already acquired chakra and have adapted to the intensity of both academic and practical courses. So in the third semester, the ninja school officially taught them the 3 body techniques, as well as the Konoha flickering technique and invisibility technique, and survival exercises were added to the practical classes. The survival drills are mainly to train students' intelligence capabilities, as well as the use of 3 body techniques, instant body techniques, and invisibility techniques, etc. Aside from the 3 body technique, the rest of the basics are very simple. In the original novel, when Uzumaki Naruto first appeared, he couldn't even use the clone technique properly, but he could use the instant body movement technique and the invisibility technique to play tricks on some chunins wearing green vests. However, these were no problem for Izayoi, seeing that in the practical classes, there were still only physical duels, no kunai and hand-to-hand combat, and no rule-free duels where anything could be used. Except for the afternoons when there was a taijutsu match, Izayoi still didn't come to school in his real form. Post-views. 3 Chapter 12 The steady Izayoi finally matches the Child of Destiny, CH12. As time came to March, the 3rd semester came to an end. Starting from this month, Izayoi's attendance at classes began to increase more and more often. Not only the afternoon classes, but even the morning cultural classes are all about the main body. First, March is not only the graduation month for 6th graders, but also the big exam month for other grades. There will be important annual exams before the end of this semester. The results of the final exams during the academic year, as well as the various quizzes and random tests in the 3 semesters, will be included in the comprehensive score. Then the school will select the top student in the grade based on the overall performance, the so-called top student. To be able to stand out from several classes, dozens or even hundreds of students, including many ninja children, and become the first in a grade is undoubtedly the most dazzling genius. If he is a ninja, then he is the best member of the new generation of the family. If he came from an ordinary family, he would be a commoner genius who could surpass the children of the ninja clan. These top students are all influential figures in the ninja school. Izayoi would naturally not give the title of chief student to anyone else. They are the most special new generation. The descendants of each major ninja clan are all heirs to their clan leader. He surpassed them to become the top student, and his value was far above that of other grades. After winning the title of top student and proving his talent, Izayoi will have no more obstacles in going to Hinata. With Izayoi's current strength, it would not be difficult for him to defeat the top student. Even if the real body doesn't come, the shadow clone can easily defeat others. However, Izayoi still came in person, because he knew that undercurrents were already surging in Konoha. In the 55th year of Konoha, the 9 powerful men are 7 years old. At the same time, a major event occurred this year that shocked the entire ninja world. That is after the demise of the Senju clan, the Uchiha clan, which had become the most powerful family in Konoha and even the most powerful ninja clan in the ninja world, will be destroyed by a 13-year-old boy. And this young man is the son of the current clan leader and the elder brother of Uchiha Sasuke, Uchiha Itachi. With this amazing record, Uchiha Itachi also became the youngest S-class rebel ninja in the ninja world. However, only a few people know that the Uchiha clan was not destroyed by Uchiha Itachi alone. Not only the influence of Konoha's high-level officials was involved, but also the help of outsiders. Izayoi is one of the few people who knows this secret. During this period of time, the #1 bootlicker in the ninja world would use Kamui to wander into Konoha at any time. In order to avoid being discovered by this bootlicker or attracting his attention, Izayoi planned to slow down his training speed and would not take Hinata to the deserted training ground to train until the Uchiha clan was destroyed. Don't be afraid of 10,000 things. Just be prepared for the worst. Hinata is the eldest daughter of the main family. She doesn't have the contempt of a caged bird, and she is a valuable commodity in the black market. After all, Ao, who only has one Byakuganai, became an elite jonin in the Hidden Mist Village and was also listed on Konoha's gold wanted list. Who knows whether Uchiha Obito or the black and white Zetsu hiding in the dark will suddenly stare at Hinata's Byakugan. Having already caused the butterfly effect, Izayoi will not bet on the kindness of the villain. March 20th, students from 1st to 5th grade are taking their final exams before the 6th grade graduation examinations. On this day, Izayoi arrived at the ninja school early, but Hinata arrived in the classroom earlier than him. After checking the code and finding out that Izayoi was the real person, Hinata smiled and said softly, "Izayoi can keep going." "Well, let's work hard together." Izayoi grinned and whispered encouragingly, "Let's try to get 1st and 2nd place." Hinata imagined the scene of Izayoi and herself ranked 1st and 2nd on the results bulletin board and nodded with longing in her eyes. In the past, Hinata had no pursuit of ranking. But now, Hinata doesn't want to lose to anyone other than Izayoi. She also has the strength to compete for the 2nd place. It was long before the exam started. The morning assessment is cultural subjects. Although the 3-body technique has been taught this semester, the school does not have any assessments on the 3-body technique. After all, not all 6th graders know the 3-body technique. Even some graduation examinations only randomly test one of the 3-body techniques. The newly graduated genin was able to perform a C-rank 5 elements escape technique, and his chakra was enough to amaze the instructing jonin. From this, we can see that more than 90% of the first-year students have not used the chakra of the 3-body technique. Therefore, although Uchiha Itachi's cultural knowledge was only at the first-year level, he only used his shadow clone to teach in class. His teacher thought that he had nothing to teach and specifically requested the 3rd Hokage to allow him to graduate early. In this world, culture is secondary and strength is primary. Uzumaki Naruto is the best example. The morning exam was not difficult at all for Izayoi and Hinata. The afternoon exams included shuriken, throwing, and taijutsu duels, as well as a newly added survival drill. The first 2 are also not difficult. As long as Hinata is not matched with Izayoi in the physical duel, she will get full marks even if she meets Uchiha Sasuke. In terms of physical skills, Hinata was already invincible in her first year. She is decisive in her actions, and her acupoint pressing skills are a nightmare for children. However, if Hinata is matched with Izayoi, there will be no hope for her to be 2nd. As for why he is not the hopeless chief student, it's very simple because in these 3 semesters, Hinata was also matched with Izayoi and naturally lost. Her overall performance is already inferior to that of Izayoi. Even if you are lucky enough to get full marks in all subjects in the final exam, you cannot get the title of top student. Similarly, even if Izayoi was careless in the cultural exam and answered a question incorrectly, accidentally losing to Haruno Sakura, the latter would not be able to become the top student because her overall performance was not good enough. Among the first years, the only ones who have never lost in actual combat are Izayoi, Uchiha Sasuke, and Aburame Shino. Among them, Uchiha Sasuke and Aburame Shino's comprehensive scores in cultural examinations were not as good as Izayoi and Hinata's. Even if they get full marks in the final exam of the academic year, they cannot get the top student title. As long as Hinata gets full marks in the actual combat, she will surely get the second place. Unless there is someone in other classes whose overall performance is better than Hinata's. But obviously, this is impossible. In shuriken throwing, Izayoi easily got full marks. When it came to the physical duel, Izayoi was matched with an unexpected opponent. The next round of duel will be between Izayoi and Uzumaki Naruto. The students of Class 1, Grade 1, formed a circle in the open space. Yumino Irika stood in the middle of the circle, holding a file board, and shouted loudly. At hearing the name of his opponent, Uzumaki Naruto could not help but hold his head in his hands and said in despair, "How could my opponent be Izayoi? I'm doomed." Cultural studies and shuriken throwing are like nightmares to Uzumaki Naruto. The only thing he has a chance of winning is a physical duel. But now, there is no chance of winning. After all, Izayoi is no match for even a physical skills master like Hinata. Unlike the desperate Uzumaki Naruto, Izayoi's eyes lit up. Finally matched with this destined child. Post views for Chapter 13. Crushing Naruto, Uzumaki Bloodline, CH 13. Yes, this is the first time that Izayoi is matched with Uzumaki Naruto. There seems to be a causal force at work between Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. In 10 physical duels, the two would be matched together in almost half of them. Izayoi is no match for Uzumaki Naruto. Fortunately, the Otsutsuki bloodline, red, has an extremely large amount of chakra, just like the sage body. Otherwise, Izayoi would not know what method he could use to unleash Uzumaki Naruto's sage body. Now that she is finally matched with Uzumaki Naruto, Izayoi is very excited. This means that he is very lucky today. Since I'm so lucky, can I get some valuable entries? Restraining the excitement in his heart, Izayoi stood up and walked to the right side of Yumino Irika. Looking at Uzumaki Naruto, who was walking to the other side, gritting his teeth and not wanting to give up, Izayoi raised his right hand, raised his index and middle fingers and smiled. "Naruto, please give me your guidance." Hearing this, Uzumaki Naruto was slightly stunned. My originally tense mood suddenly became relaxed. Looking at Izayoi across from him, he felt a warm current surge in his heart. Know the same. This guy's eyes are different from others. There is no disgust from adults, no rejection from peers, only kindness that treats everyone equally. Aside from Yumino Irika, who recognized him last semester, Izayoi is the second special person. Thinking of this, Uzumaki Naruto suddenly felt like crying, but he still suppressed his emotions, nodded vigorously, grinned, and said, "Well, please give me more advice." After saying this, Uzumaki Naruto also raised his index and middle fingers. The look in his blue eyes, which were the same color as Izayoi's, had become resolute. Seeing this scene, Yumino Irika couldn't help but smile with relief. Then he stepped back a few steps and shouted, "The 7th round of duel begins." As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Izayoi and Uzumaki Naruto rushing towards each other. Uzumaki Naruto's attack routine is very simple and stereotyped, and he doesn't know how to adapt at all. After getting close, he punched Izayoi, although Izayoi did not have the Sharingan. With his insight, the moment Uzumaki Naruto raised his shoulder, he knew what the other party was going to do next. Before Uzumaki Naruto's fist struck out, Izayoi had already accumulated strength, raised his left hand, and hit Uzumaki Naruto's wrist with the back of his hand, knocking his straight punch away, and then punched out with his right fist. With a bang, the fist hit Uzumaki Naruto's left cheek. The powerful force knocked Uzumaki Naruto to the ground with one blow. His face was red and swollen, and bruises appeared. It hurts so much Uzumaki Naruto kept gasping for breath, but was not killed instantly by Izayoi's punch. He quickly stood up and continued to attack Izayoi. However, every punch and kick was predicted by Izayoi in advance, and was either blocked, dodged, or counterattacked. Even though Hinata was as fast as the wind, with each of her attacks carrying chakra energy and acupoint pressing skills that made sounds like breaking through the air, Izayoi could handle it easily. Uzumaki Naruto's disorganized attack not only had no power at all, but also had many flaws. Punches and kicks landed on Uzumaki Naruto's body. The clothes of this destined child soon became dirty and his face was covered with scars, making him look very embarrassed. On the other hand, Izayoi was completely unharmed, even spotless. Even a 3-year-old child can see the difference between the two. But Uzumaki Naruto, who was beaten unilaterally, did not choose to surrender. At the beginning, he would gasp when he was beaten, but now he doesn't make a sound even when he is beaten. His expression is so focused, and his attacks are gradually no longer disorganized. He is growing, though he will be the same again next time. But now, he has indeed become stronger in battle. So Izayoi noticed another flaw and decided to end the battle. He bent his knees and ducked to avoid Uzumaki Naruto's attack, then used the force of the kick to sweep Uzumaki Naruto to the ground. Then, without giving Uzumaki Naruto a chance to get up, he punched down, but stopped in front of Uzumaki Naruto's face. Seeing this scene, Yumino Irika immediately announced loudly, "Uzumaki Naruto has lost his ability to fight. The winner is Izayoi." Bang! Almost at the moment when Yumino Irika's voice fell, one of the purple bubbles inside the bubbles around Uzumaki Naruto that only Izayoi could see suddenly burst. Immediately, a purple beam flew towards Izayoi and penetrated into his body. Immediately afterwards, a small bubble appeared again around Uzumaki Naruto. This newly formed bubble is very small in size, and its color is not white to red, but a transparent small bubble. There are no entries in it either, but nothing at all. Izayoi had seen this kind of scene more than once. He knew that the bubble was cooling down. After the cooling is over, the transparent bubble will turn back into a purple bubble, and the entries inside will reappear. At the same time, there is a chance that Izayoi will use this entry again. Yes, the entries can be repeated. It's just that Izayoi hasn't used the same term on the same person yet. Izayoi, who saw clearly what the purple bubble meant, was now very excited. However, he did not immediately summon his personal panel. Instead, he stretched out his palm to Uzumaki Naruto and said with a smile, "Naruto, you are very powerful. Let's fight again next time." Uzumaki Naruto, who had given his all but was still beaten up, was originally filled with bitterness. But he saw that Izayoi was looking at him sincerely, without any sign of looking down on him. Uzumaki Naruto, who only felt unwilling in front of Uchiha Sasuke, was instantly relieved. He reached out and grabbed Shizai's hand, using the force to stand up, and grinned. "Shizai, you are really amazing, but I won't lose next time. Your progress is very obvious. I'll look forward to playing against you next time." Izayoi smiled and extended his index and middle fingers to Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto also stretched out his index and middle fingers and hooked them together with Izayoi's fingers. This is the seal of reconciliation, which corresponds to the seal of opposition before the fight, and symbolizes that no matter how big the gap between ninjas is, they can be reconciled. In the original novel, Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke ended the fateful battle between Ashura and Indra that had lasted for thousands of years through the seal of reconciliation. If the reincarnations of Ashura and Indra cannot reconcile, their chakras will continue to cycle. The 1,000-year-long fateful battle has made Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke dislike each other, even though they have no conflicts and without the factor of Haruno Sakura. Uzumaki Naruto could naturally make peace with Izayoi, but he couldn't make the seal of reconciliation with Uchiha Sasuke. But these have nothing to do with Izayoi. After completing the seal of reconciliation with Uzumaki Naruto, Izayoi returned to the team. While perfunctorily answering questions from the classmates around him, he summoned a curtain of light that only he could see, and at the same time responded to the prompt sound that rang in his mind as the light beam penetrated into his body. Ding! You get the talent item, Whirlpool Bloodline, purple. Fusion or decomposition. Fusion. The next second, a new talent entry appeared in the entry column Whirlpool Bloodline, purple. Post views. 2 Chapter 14 Chief Student, CH14. Although the immortal body did not explode, Izayoi felt a little regretful. However, the explosion of the Vortex Bloodline is already very lucky. This bloodline, like the bloodlines of the Senju clan, the Uchiha clan, and the Kagaya clan, is a branch of the Otsutsuki clan. As descendants of immortal bodies, the Uzumaki clan and the Senju clan both possess powerful vitality and astonishing amounts of chakra. In addition to being good at sealing techniques, the Uzumaki clan also possesses 3 powerful unique abilities. These 3 abilities are Kagura's Heart's Eye, Diamond Seal, and Physical Healing. Kagura's Mind's Eye, one of the most powerful perception techniques in the ninja world. The Diamond Seal is both an offensive and defensive weapon. It can also be used to create barriers and perform sealing techniques. Even the tailed beasts that are tied up find it difficult to break free. Physical healing can consume chakra to heal the injuries of oneself or others, and the effect is quite powerful. These 3 abilities are all top-level auxiliary skills. However, just like not every member of the Uchiha clan can awaken a Sharingan, not every member of the Uzumaki clan can awaken these 3 unique abilities. In the original work, Uzumaki Naruto had not awakened any abilities before getting the recognition of Kurama. After gaining Kurama's recognition, he possessed the same perception of good and evil as Uzumaki Mido. The other abilities have not awakened, either because the genuine immortal body is too strong or because the original author does not want to give him cheats. But it is undeniable that Uzumaki Naruto not only has the Uzumaki bloodline, but as the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra, the purity of this bloodline is also very high. And now, Izayoi's Uzumaki bloodline burst out from Uzumaki Naruto's body. If he is lucky, he may be able to awaken one of the 3 unique abilities. If she could awaken 3 unique abilities at the same time like Karen, she would reach the top level in the ninja world in terms of perception, sealing, and healing. Even if none of his unique abilities are awakened, he will still possess the powerful vitality inherited from the immortal body, so he will still not be at a loss. Izayoi happily put away the light curtain and watched the duel on the field. As the winners and losers were determined round after round, the physical duel soon came to an end. Next comes the final exam and a newly added survival exercise. However, before starting the survival exercise, Yumino Irika first took the students to the infirmary and let the doctors treat them. Afterwards, he took the students to the prop room and let Izayoi and others go in to choose props. These props are necessary for using invisibility. Unlike the bell-grabbing survival drills of the genin, the survival drills of the ninja school are mostly hide-and-seek, which mainly test the students' attainments in the techniques of invisibility, teleportation, and the 3-body technique. Those who perform well will get high scores or full marks. If they perform poorly, they will be given a chance just like in the Chunin exams, and if they are still difficult to look at, they will be caught. This kind of test was naturally not difficult for Izayoi, who had already mastered the 3-body technique. He made it until the end of time without any suspense and got full marks in one subject again. Although the results will not be announced until the new semester in April, the title of top student is already in Izayoi's pocket. Hinata, see you at the usual place tomorrow. After school, Izayoi and Hinata parted at an intersection and made the same promise as usual. Although Izayoi would no longer take Hinata to the abandoned training grounds before the Uchiha clan was destroyed, he still did not stop training with Hinata. It's just that the training ground has changed from an abandoned training ground to a school playground, or the yard of Izayoi's house. The Nine-Tails Rebellion did not destroy Izayoi's family. Both of them were ninjas, and among the inheritance they left to Izayoi was a 2-story independent house with a small courtyard. Compared to Uzumaki Naruto's inheritance being confiscated and even the scarf left by Uzumaki Kushina being thrown into the utility room to collect dust, Izayoi's conditions are simply too good to be true. Fortunately, my parents in this life are ordinary ninjas, so the eating habits in the village are not that ugly. There are 3 semesters in a year. Except for the relatively long summer vacation, the other holidays in the ninja school are only very short. In the blink of an eye, it was April 1st. Ninja school, a new school year begins. The 6th grade has been graduated, and the genin who has been recognized by the supervising jonin has begun to carry out missions. The genin who were not recognized have either returned to school to retake courses or have been specially recruited by other departments, or have retaken courses several times and felt that they did not have the qualifications to become a ninja, so they have dropped out and become an ordinary person. Grades 1 to 5 were promoted to new classes and began to move to new classrooms. The vacant first grade also welcomed new students who passed the entrance examination. On this day, the bulletin board was filled with students. First-year students are checking their classrooms. Students from other grades were checking their respective grades' final exam results. Hey, Izayoi-kun, have you checked the results on the bulletin board? That's great, Izayoi. You become the top student in our grade. As expected of Izayoi, even that guy Sasuke is no match for you. Izayoi is the top student. Hinata is the second. You two classmates took the top 2 places. You are so strong. As soon as Izayoi arrived at the new classroom, he was surrounded by his classmates, both male and female. Izayoi did not feel impatient, but stood there and chatted with them for a long time with a smile on his face. From their words, we can also know that Izayoi is the top student, and the second place is not Uchiha Sasuke, but Hinata. Izayoi was not surprised by this. Hinata's academic performance is already among the best. In the first exam of the Chunin exam in the original work, among the 4 girls of the 12 young masters, only she and Haruno Sakura did not need to cheat. With his help, Hinata learned to climb trees and tread water in the first grade. She was no longer introverted and decisive in fighting without considering others. If she could still lose to Uchiha Sasuke, then Izayoi might as well find a piece of tofu and kill herself. Uchiha Sasuke should be thankful that he did not meet Hinata in the physical duel, otherwise he would not even be able to maintain his 3rd place. After all, Aburame Shino is not a vegetarian. After chatting with classmates until class was almost about to start, Izayoi returned to his seat. Good morning, Izayoi-kun. Morning, Hinata. Hinata still arrived earlier than Izayoi. After the two greeted each other, they started chatting. Izayoi-kun, congratulations on becoming the chief student. Hinata apparently also went to the bulletin board to check out the results. Izayoi also smiled and said, congratulations on winning the 2nd place. Now your father will not stop you from going out. Hinata nodded repeatedly with a happy smile on her face. Obviously, she also realized that her and Izayoi's plan had been discovered by her father long ago. But Hinata was not under house arrest, but was able to go out freely, which shows that her relationship with Izayoi was tacitly approved by her father. Thinking about how she was practicing treading water at home and was discovered many times, but was never questioned, Hinata felt that it must be related to her own progress. Now she has got the 2nd place in the grade, and her teacher Izayoi is the top student. If my father knew, he would definitely approve of Izayoi even more. Thinking of this, Hinata couldn't help but feel happy. Post Views 2 Chapter 15 Super Hurricane Ball Uchiha Clan Extermination CH 15. The academic performance of the 2nd grade is not much different from that of the 1st grade. The academic subjects are still the same, but they are just more difficult. There is no physical education in the afternoon. The students who have not been persuaded to drop out have obviously extracted their chakra. As long as they can complete the 6 years step by step, they will either become genin recognized by the jonin and trained by the village, or become a new force in other departments. After wasting 6 years, the chance of becoming a normal person again is very small. The next 5 years will be about teaching them how to gather intelligence and carry out assassinations. These lessons were not difficult at all for Izayoi, and could even be described as boring. After only a few days of class, he couldn't help but give up his original idea and send his shadow clone to attend class again. As for himself, he stayed at home and practiced. Although he couldn't practice the 5 elements escape technique at home, he could try to develop ninjutsu. Although the development of ninjutsu requires a strong foundation of nature change or form change, Izayoi, as a time traveler, knows that there is a ninjutsu that does not require such a foundation, as long as the amount of chakra is sufficient. That ninjutsu was the one that the 4th Hokage got inspiration from the tail beast ball and eventually spent several years developing. It is an attributeless and unmarked ninjutsu with a learning difficulty of a level the Rasengan. as the signature ninjutsu that Uzumaki Naruto has used since he was a child and developed into various series. The Rasengan is also the only ninjutsu in the original work whose full-stage training methods are announced. That training plot left a very deep impression on me. Anyone who likes to watch Naruto will never forget this training method, and the same is true for Izayoi. However, Izayoi practiced the Rasengan not as a trump card, but, as mentioned above, trying to develop ninjutsu. Rasengan is an unmatched ninjutsu developed by the 4th Hokage and has a special meaning in Konoha. Apart from the 4th Hokage, the only people who mastered this ninjutsu were the 4th Hokage's teacher and disciples. If Izayoi suddenly uses this ninjutsu in the future, it will definitely catch the attention of Konoha's top brass. Without a reasonable explanation, it might cause all kinds of suspicion. This is not what Izayoi wanted. Therefore, he wanted to develop another unique ninjutsu based on the Rasengan Super Hurricane Ball. Super Hurricane Ball, also known as Multi-8 Dama Hayatamaru, is a ninjutsu used by Otsutsuki Ashura against Otsutsuki Indra in the TV animation. That ninjutsu is similar to Naruto Uzumaki's Planet Rasengan. The principle of this ninjutsu is to first create an energy ball that is second only to the Rasengan in size, and then add 5 rotating energy balls that are the same size as the Rasengan into it. This jutsu is like the Rasen Shuriken and can be thrown or launched. Once it explodes, it will be a 6-in-a-row explosion. If the energy ball is exploded, the 5 energy balls inside will disperse and attack the enemy. And just like Uzumaki Naruto added various attributes to the balls, this ninjutsu can also inject the 5 elements attributes, and even combine the 5 attributes, just like the 3rd Hokage's 5 elements Great Chain Danjutsu. By then, the power will be as strong as destroying the world. If it weren't for the 2 entries of Otsutsuki bloodline, red and all attribute constitution, purple, Izayoi would never have dared to have such an idea. He would have been satisfied just to be able to learn the Rasengan. However, the natural talent brought by the Otsutsuki bloodline, red, the all-attribute physique, purple, and the chakra control that has been upgraded to the purple level, give Izayoi the capital to turn the original ninjutsu of the TV animation into reality. With her powerful chakra control, Izayoi mastered the Rasengan in just 1 week. Next, he just needs to continue injecting chakra to make the volume of the Rasengan into the size of a basketball and prevent the energy ball from exploding. Then he can try to condense a small energy ball inside. However, at this stage, Izayoi cannot practice at home. Once the energy ball explodes, the consequences are unimaginable. So, he began to be patient and waited for the demise of the Uchiha clan. When the time came to May 15th, Izayoi finally waited for this day to come. There are usually only 2 or 3 classes in the afternoon, and there is a survival drill after a few weeks to test the students' growth during this period. Even in this special case, school will end at around 5 p.m. But on this day, the students in Class 1, Grade 2, had 4 classes in the afternoon, which was rare. The final survival exercise did not end until dusk. The Uchiha clan's territory is located near the Nanha River and is no different from the suburbs. There is no need to use the technique of instant travel to speed up. By the time Uchiha Sasuke returned to the clan's territory, it had already fallen. At this time, a full moon had appeared in the sky. Against the backdrop of the sunset, it looks a bit blood red. Izayoi's shadow clone took a look at Uchiha Sasuke's back as he walked out of the school gate and trotted back home. He knew that after today, Suzy, who was not arrogant and did not care about his academic performance, would disappear completely. At that time, a man who exudes a cold aura, who attaches great importance to academic performance and family honor, and whose emotions can be shaken by a little verbal stimulation, and who is extremely easy to break down, will appear in front of Izayoi. Although the latter was very miserable, Izayoi was still looking forward to that moment. After all, he waited for a whole year. The next day, a piece of news caused a sensation in Konoha and quickly spread outward. Through the transmission of spies, it soon spread throughout the entire ninja world. After the demise of the Senju clan, the Uchiha clan which had become the most powerful family in Konoha and even the most powerful ninja clan in the ninja world, and whose bloodline limit allowed them to be invincible in one-on-one battles and had titles such as the Copy Eye and the Illusion Eye, actually perished. The murderer who wiped out this family was not the Hyuga clan, which was equally famous, nor was it the Konoha high-level officials or other ninja villages, but Uchiha Itachi, the eldest son of the current patriarch of the Uchiha clan, who was only 13 years old this year. The name Uchiha Itachi quickly spread throughout the ninja world in the next few days, making him the youngest S-rank rebel ninja in Konoha and even in the ninja world. As soon as Izayoi went out today, he saw the villagers discussing this matter. This is a big event. The level of a sensation was no less than the Nine Tails Rebellion in Konoha 48 years ago. In just a few years, Konoha lost the fourth Hokage and his wife, a group of powerful people, and the most powerful ninja clan. Konoha has undoubtedly entered its weakest period since the village was founded. The strongest ninja village, which once had so many Kage-level warriors that they could defeat 4 enemies alone, now has only the elderly third Hokage, who is a Kage-level warrior left. After the Nine Tails Rebellion, Konoha attracted the covetousness and conspiracy of the Hidden Cloud clan. Now that they have lost the most powerful ninja clan, they should be targeted by more external enemies. But unfortunately, in the following years, Konoha was peaceful. Obviously, all the major ninja villages have discovered something wrong. Post-views, 5 Chapter 16 Sasuke's Challenge, a fight without rules, ch 16. The top leaders of the major ninja villages are not fools. The Uchiha clan is a wealthy ninja clan that has been passed down for thousands of years, and the Sharingan is the strongest bloodline limit in the ninja world after the loss of wood release. Countless people are eager to get a 3 Magatama Sharingan. After all, Kakashi Itaki is known as the copy ninja and Konoha technician who can copy thousands of ninjutsu with a 3 Magatama Sharingan. Moreover, copying ninjutsu is only the ability of the 2 Magatama. The 3 Magatama Sharingan is known as the Illusion Eye. Outsiders can never unleash the true power of the Sharingan. The Uchiha who are able to unleash the true power of the 3 Magatama Sharingan are all elite Jonin who are invincible in single combat. The Uchiha clan must have dozens of such strong people. There are so many powerful people, including other Uchiha who have awakened single Magatama Sharingan and double Magatama Sharingan, as well as a large number of ordinary clansmen who have not awakened Sharingan. It is impossible to kill them all overnight, even if Uchiha Itachi possesses the legendary Manjiki Sharingan. Even if it were possible, it would be impossible to have no movement at all. But unfortunately, the Uchiha clan was destroyed overnight, and the murderer Uchiha Itachi successfully escaped from Konoha. The water here is really too deep. There is no doubt that there must be high-level Konoha officials here. Being able to wipe out the most powerful ninja clan overnight, such strength and means, as well as the ruthlessness and coldness of not caring about the consequences, shocked all the major ninja villages. Regarding this incident, the major ninja villages simply sent a group of spies to infiltrate Konoha to collect intelligence, and after failing, they ignored it. In the Third Ninja World War, all major ninja villages suffered heavy losses, and they have not yet recovered. Even the Hidden Cloud village did not take advantage of the situation this time. They are all trying to maintain the existing balance and prepare for the next Ninja World War. Izayoi didn't know about this, but he could guess a little. Having read the original novel, he knew that the next few years would be peaceful. This is the best opportunity for development. Uchiha Sasuke, who was hit by the Manjiki Sharingan illusion, was in a coma for a whole week before waking up. When he appeared in the classroom, his whole person had changed dramatically. In the past, Uchiha Sasuke would just look troubled when faced with being surrounded by girls, but he would never say hurtful words, let alone hit anyone. This attitude makes girls even more aggressive. But now, those girls who were happy to see Uchiha Sasuke appear did not dare to surround him at all. Because at this time, Uchiha Sasuke's eyes and aura were so scary that people of the same age didn't dare to approach him or look him in the eye. Only Izayoi could see that Uchiha Sasuke was now fragile and stubborn. When we are wounded, we need the warmth and healing of love the most. But his character made him unwilling to accept anyone's sympathy. Only Uzumaki Naruto, who has reincarnated for thousands of years and whose fate in this life is similar to his, can break into Uchiha Sasuke's heart and gain his recognition. After school in the afternoon, Izayoi finally saw the scene he had been waiting for a long time. After the physical duel ended, the students formed small groups as usual. Some continued to stay in school, some left school, and some did not join any group and went home alone. The former Uchiha Sasuke was the last one. But today, Uchiha Sasuke did not return home alone, but found Izayoi and said the same words as Izayoi did back then. Izayoi, do you want to fight? Hearing this, Izayoi, who came to the ninja school today specifically and did not go home with Hinata just to wait for her, smiled secretly in his heart. But he pretended to be stunned. Looking at Uchiha Sasuke, who might not have recovered yet and had a gloomy look in his eyes, he couldn't help but tease. You were not interested in my challenge back then. Why are you interested now? Stop talking nonsense. Are you scared? Uchiha Sasuke did not answer, but spoke provocatively. In the past, he only wanted to practice with Uchiha Itachi, so naturally he didn't want to waste his time on others. Now that his family is destroyed, the meaning of his life is to kill Uchiha Itachi and then revive the Uchiha clan. If he wants to kill Uchiha Itachi, he must obtain powerful strength. If we want to revive the Uchiha clan, the first thing we need to do is to make people remember the strength and glory of the Uchiha clan and not lose to others. So Izayoi became Uchiha Sasuke's target. If he could defeat Izayoi, he would prove that he is stronger than all his peers. Izayoi naturally didn't know what Uchiha Sasuke was thinking. Seeing that the other party used provocation to cover up his tsundere, Izayoi decided to stop while he was ahead and nodded with a smile. Okay, let's have a fight then. Very good, then let's go to the playground. Uchiha Sasuke said with a fighting look on his face. There's no need to go to the playground. Let's go somewhere else. Izayoi shook his head and smiled. I'll take you somewhere. After saying that, Izayoi walked towards the direction of the abandoned training ground. Uchiha Sasuke followed closely behind. The Uchiha clan has been extinct for a week. Uchiha Obito probably won't come to Konoha to hang out except on the anniversary of Noara Rin's death. On the anniversary of Noara Rin's death, Izayoi went to the cemetery to note it down, and from then on, he would not go outdoors at this time of year. So a few days ago, Izayoi resumed his training in the wild. Soon, the two arrived at the training ground where Izayoi and Hinata usually practiced. The ground and trees there were covered with traces of blows and ninjutsu. Seeing these traces, Uchiha Sasuke's pupils shrank slightly, and his heart was filled with great waves. If these traces were left by Izayoi, doesn't that mean that this guy has mastered the 5 elements escape technique, just like me? If I remember correctly, he seemed to be an orphan. While he had his father to teach him, Izayoi was a self-taught person. Uchiha Sasuke suddenly realized and finally understood why this guy was able to defeat him. It's not luck, but the other person works harder than you. Thinking of this, Uchiha Sasuke became more determined to fight. Only by fighting against such opponents can you become stronger. Only by defeating such an opponent can you prove your strength. How do you want to fight? Looking at Uchiha Sasuke across from him, Izayoi asked, is it a taijutsu duel or a duel without rules? The so-called no-rules duel means using whatever means possible. The 3 body techniques, invisibility techniques, instant body movements techniques, props, and even the 5 elements escape techniques that are not taught in ninja schools can all be used at will. A duel without rules is also an extremely dangerous one. Ninja schools also have unregulated duels, which are only offered in 6th grade. Moreover, when conducting an unregulated duel, in addition to the referee teacher, there must also be a medical ninja nearby. After all, accidents are likely to happen in such a battle. If we are not careful, some students' lives may even be in danger. If Yumino Irika were here and heard what Izayoi said, he would definitely be shocked and would quickly stop her and scold her. However, Uchiha Sasuke said without hesitation, no rules duel. Post views. For Chapter 17, CH17, Courageous. Izayoi was not surprised by Uchiha Sasuke's choice. However, he still gave Uchiha Sasuke a thumbs up. This choice is also a good thing for Izayoi. In a physical duel, one cannot display one's full strength at all. Even if one wins, the chance of success is lower than in an unregulated duel. This was confirmed by Izayoi. When Hinata didn't use the acupressure technique to inject chakra into her body, Izayoi defeated her without any entries popping up at all. The gap in strength between her and Izayoi is simply too great. Although it is possible that an entry will appear in a crushing battle, the probability of this happening is extremely small, and Izayoi has not encountered it in this year. When Hinata used the acupoint pressing technique and gave it her all, 2 items burst out from Izayoi's body, 1 purple and 1 blue during the year. These 2 entries are bloodline limit, Byakugan, purple, and chakra control, blue. It's not that Izayoi looked down on Uchiha Sasuke, but he was familiar with the plot and had amazing talent, so he started taking shortcuts at the age of 3. The cheaters are 3 or 4 years ahead of the cheaters. If Uchiha Sasuke had not already mastered the fire style, Great Fireball technique, he would pose no threat to Izayoi at all. The fire style, Great Fireball technique, can increase Uchiha Sasuke's explosion rate. A duel without rules is the best choice. Let's get started. Izayoi took a few steps back, distanced himself from Uchiha Sasuke, and raised his index and middle fingers. Seeing this, Uchiha Sasuke also made the seal of opposition. Then, the 2 rushed toward each other. After getting closer, Uchiha Sasuke punched him. As Izayoi dodged sideways, he raised his foot, turned 180 degrees, and kicked Uchiha Sasuke in the face. His flexibility was amazing. Uchiha Sasuke had no time to dodge, so he could only raise his other arm and block with his forearm, and his body was kicked back several steps. By the time he steadied himself, he had already fallen into an extremely passive situation. Izayoi rushed over, opened his arms left and right, and hit Uchiha Sasuke's face and chest. The power was not strong, but the attack speed was so fast that Uchiha Sasuke had difficulty reacting. He had just blocked the first punch when the second punch seized his weakness and landed in his face. After being hit by the first punch, Uchiha Sasuke completely lost his rhythm and became a movable sandbag. The raised arms will also be used by Izayoi to grab and pull, disrupting the body's balance. On the other hand, Izayoi's combo was disorganized at first, but gradually became very rhythmic. It's like the Hyuga clan's Bagwazang. If the chakra isn't injected into the body, the damage won't be great, but during the combo, the opponent will have no power to resist. After an unknown number of hits, Izayoi finally stopped attacking, turned 360 degrees, and kicked Uchiha Sasuke with all his strength, sending him flying. The power of this kick was even more painful than the previous combo, making it difficult for Uchiha Sasuke to breathe. However, looking at Izayoi, who was retracting his legs, Uchiha Sasuke, who had been trapped in the illusion space these days and kept watching the scenes of genocide over and over again, suddenly saw the reflection of Uchiha Itachi on Izayoi's body. The other party's words, which showed his disdain for killing him, echoed in his mind. "You are too weak now. From now on, you'll have to live an ugly life and try your best to survive." Uchiha Sasuke's expression suddenly became distorted. "Uchiha Itachi, I must kill you." Fire style, Great Fireball technique. He mistook Izayoi for Uchiha Itachi, then formed seals with his hands and spit out a wisp of flame from his mouth, which quickly grew into a high-temperature fireball and smashed towards Izayoi. Just in time, wind-style wind-cutting technique. Izayoi was not surprised, but happy. He pretended to make hand seals and exhaled from his mouth. Suddenly, he became visible from invisible and turned into a sickle-shaped, transparent white wind blade, which collided with the flying fireball. The next second, the huge fireball was cut diagonally, and the wind blade with suddenly reduced power continued to fly forward and landed on Uchiha Sasuke. Tear as the sound of cloth tearing was heard, blood spurted out from Uchiha Sasuke's body. Uchiha Sasuke fell to the ground and became motionless for a moment. Izayoi was not panicked at all and walked over slowly. Anyone could die now, except Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. The news that the Outer Path demon statue had been channeled down from the moon must have been known to the Six Path Sage. The other party must know that the second pair of Rinnegan has been born. In order to prevent their mother from resurrecting prematurely before Indra and Ashura grow up, the Six Path Sage will never let the reincarnations of Indra and Ashura of this generation die easily. Moreover, if he were killed by a sea-level wind Kiri whose power was suddenly reduced, Uchiha Sasuke would not be worthy of being the second male lead. When I arrived next to Uchiha Sasuke, I found that he was still breathing. The wind blade only tore his clothes and left a scratch on his body, but no bones were seen. Izayoi squatted down and used basic medical ninjutsu to treat him. Snap at this moment, Izayoi seemed to be hallucinating and heard a sound clearer than a balloon being pricked. He looked in the direction of the voice, his expression focused. Bubbles that only Izayoi could see appeared around Uchiha Sasuke. Izayoi happened to see a bubble that had just burst and a red beam of light flying towards him. Looking at the red beam that was rapidly expanding in front of his eyes, Izayoi showed a rarely seen stunned expression. Red? How many reds does Uchiha Sasuke have? Is red the highest known grade? Or is purple? But the prompt sound that rang in his mind immediately told Izayoi that he was not dazzled. He won the jackpot. Ding, you get the talent item Immortal Ired, merge or decompose. Fusion. Izayoi shouted in his heart quickly, and at the same time he couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth excitedly. But he didn't know if there was anyone secretly watching here, so Shizoi resisted the urge, causing the corners of his mouth to twitch slightly, which looked a little funny. At this moment, Izayoi's mood could not be described in words. Taking Hinata as an example, Izayoi originally thought that it would take a long time to reveal Uchiha Sasuke's red entry. He has also made preparations to fight Uchiha Sasuke whenever he has time in the next 5 years. If he still fails to get any red entries during the ninja school, Izayoi will slow down his growth and bring his strength to the same level as Uchiha Sasuke and Hinata. Unexpectedly, in Izayoi's first unregulated duel, Uchiha Sasuke's Sage Eye, Red, was revealed. This extremely small probability actually happened to him. At this moment, Shizade finally understood the feelings of those European emperors. Post-views, 2 Chapter 18, the second Otsutsuki Indra, ch. 18. Having won the jackpot, Izayoi was not in a hurry to experience the changes brought about by the Sage's Eye. He first cleared his thoughts and concentrated on treating Uchiha Sasuke. Looking at Uchiha Sasuke, whose eye sockets were a little dark and who must have had a hard time these days, Izayoi looked at him with some pity. There is no shortage of orphans with tragic fates in the world of Naruto, but Izayoi seems to only remember 2 orphans who had happy families, but later lost everything. One is Nagato, and the other is Uchiha Sasuke. But compared to Nagato, who had Yahiko, Konin, and Jiraiya, Uchiha Sasuke, who was arranged by Uchiha Itachi, was undoubtedly more miserable. From beginning to end, he was either on the road of revenge, or after learning the truth, the idea of revolution was immediately suppressed by the only companion who recognized him. Afterwards, in order to atone for his sins, he continued to collect information about the Otsutsuki clan in the ninja world and did not return home for several years. If Izayoi did not change Uchiha Sasuke's fate, then Uchiha Sasuke would be even more miserable than in the original work. After all, before graduation in the original work, Uchiha Sasuke was the most popular top student in the school. But now, the top student is Izayoi, and the second seat is Hinata, so he can only compete for the 3rd place. After graduation, he continued to suffer setbacks and had to watch Uzumaki Naruto, who was at the bottom of the class, surpass him at a lightning speed. Would you like to give him a hand? Izayoi thought to himself. At this time, Uchiha Sasuke, who had fallen unconscious, also woke up. Looking at Uchiha Sasuke with bloodshot eyes, Izayoi made a decision in his heart and said, "You are in too bad a condition now. Go back and recuperate for a while." Come back to me when you're fully recovered. Uchiha Sasuke didn't say anything, but sat up and looked at his chest, where the wound had healed but there was still a small scar. In my mind, I couldn't help but recall the battle just now. Whether it was a physical duel or ninjutsu, he was no match for Izayoi. That continuous attack and the lower body that supports that attack speed are on a completely different level. And this scar and the green light scene when opening his eyes, it seems that Izayoi also masters medical ninjutsu. Thinking of this, Uchiha Sasuke suddenly felt frustrated. I lost. Uchiha Sasuke is not someone who can't afford to lose. Just like Uzumaki Naruto's feelings, he didn't dislike Izayoi. Although it was a duel without rules, the sudden release of ninjutsu just now was a very dangerous thing. So Uchiha Sasuke simply admitted his defeat. I just won by luck. Izayoi patted Uchiha Sasuke's shoulder and praised him sincerely. You are also very good. I thought I was the only one in the class who mastered the 5 elements escape technique. I didn't expect you to know it too. You are indeed a genius of the Uchiha clan. After finishing speaking, Izayoi stood up, stretched out his hand to Uchiha Sasuke, and said, I took advantage today. Let's fight again next time. Looking at Izayoi, who was not arrogant at all and instead praised him, Uchiha Sasuke suddenly felt a warm feeling in his heart. Being recognized, he finally showed his first smile after waking up, reached out and grabbed Izayoi's hand, and said with a smile, I won't lose again next time. Pulling Uchiha Sasuke up, Izayoi held out his index and middle fingers and said to him, Then you have to practice hard. I am very strong. Just wait and see. Uchiha Sasuke was full of fighting spirit and made the seal of reconciliation with Izayoi. This picture is also projected on a transparent crystal ball. Seeing this scene, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was smoking a pipe, couldn't help but smile with satisfaction and said, The new leaves are beginning to sprout. At this moment, Uchiha Sasuke was at his most vulnerable stage. In order to prevent Uchiha Sasuke from committing suicide, Sarutobi Hiruzen promised Uchiha Itachi to take good care of Uchiha Sasuke. At the same time, in order to allow Uchiha Itachi to concentrate on being a spy, he would not ignore Uchiha Sasuke. The Umbu had been secretly watching Uchiha Sasuke from an invisible place. The two left the ninja school and went to the deserted training ground, and the news reached Sarutobi Hiruzen's ears immediately. Fortunately, Izayoi didn't talk to himself just now, and he kept his head down when he was stunned and didn't act exaggerated or behave strangely. Otherwise, what might be waiting for him is the mind-reading skills of the Yamanaka clan. Sarutobi Hiruzen was no stranger to Izayoi. This generation of newborns is very special. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is in the same class as the heirs of the major ninja clans. Izayoi, who was able to surpass them to become the top student, had long been in Sarutobi Hiruzen's sights. After a year of observation, he also discovered that Izayoi had already mastered the shadow clone technique and low-level wind style, and often practiced with the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan in the deserted training ground. In every era, there are outstanding civilian talents, like Orochimaru, like Minato Namikaze, like the unknown Kabuto Yakushi. In fact, even Kakashi Hitaki can be considered a civilian genius. After all, he does not have a bloodline limit. Compared with these civilian geniuses, Izayoi is not special and cannot even be called the best. However, such talent is enough to be cultivated intensively. As long as he is trained well, he will at least be an all-round jonin in the future. If he could master a forbidden technique, he might even become an elite jonin with ace combat power. Therefore, Izayoi had been on Sarutobi Hiruzen's watch list for a long time. After parting with Uchiha Sasuke, Izayoi returned home while summoning a light curtain that only she could see. At this time in the entry column, behind the Otsutsuki bloodline, red, which is ranked first, is no longer the golden super shadow qualification, but the sage's eye red. The appearance of this entry has not brought any obvious changes to Izayoi. However, Izayoi was very sure that there were unknown.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. R18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.